Most of what I suggest is not practical.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is March 8th, 2021. This is episode 309, and today, Pandy ending money shower. That's right, folks. That Stimmy's coming, and I'm not Neanderthal, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And Basil, I think you did the Neanderthal bid last episode, so you're...
Did I?
I think so. I think you're losing your edge on your
No, I just want to doubly
make...
I don't think I did, but maybe I did. And you know what? That's okay. If I need to draw attention to the fact that I am not a Neanderthal twice, then, just really the repetition makes it set in.
Yeah, and hopefully people remember the story that we reported months ago about CRISPR-Cas9 getting Neanderthal DNA and brains, like Neanderthal brains, inside a laboratory. I don't know if you remember that one, but they're doing it. They're resurrecting the Neanderthal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that Nephilim adjacent?
Probably, I'd imagine. What else?
You heard it here first, folks. Probably.
Yeah. How was your weekend there? It was before we get going.
Regular.
Oh,
it
good.
Regular.
That's actually good to hear.
I know.
Last couple weekends, you've been like, oh.
Yeah, it's been pretty brutal. This was kind of the first weekend in at least a month, maybe 2 months that hasn't been completely swamped with obligations. Not even fun obligations, like manual labor obligations. So that felt good. What about you? Anything fun?
No. Mine was pretty mundane. That's good though. Oops. My video, your video stuck to the mouse and you disappeared for a second, but you're back.
Woo! Well, that reminds me, we should remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you are, remember to hit that like button, subscribe, bell, you know what to do.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
That's right. Bring the power of the algorithms back to the people. And you can do that by hitting that like button early. It's apparently important that it happens early. So why don't you go ahead and do it now, and then you can always take it back later.
Sure. Yeah, you can undo that like button if you don't like it.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about, I don't know, the internet. So what? Should we just jump right in? What do you think?
Well... Couple things. Let me just mention briefly. We're trying to figure out timestamps. If you want to help with timestamps, you should connect with producer Charlie. I don't know if she wants us to give out the email address.
No. If you want to get involved with timestamps, send an email to canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com. That was great. We had some people... We had one other producer want to get in on timestamps, but we didn't know it was coming. So there's some double work going on, and we're very grateful for the efforts of all of our producers, and especially those who do the timestamps. But we want to get everybody in contact with one another so we don't end up doubling up on the workload there.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Yeah, that was the resurrection of That Night Wind, by the way. She used to do
That
all
Night
the
Wind.
So welcome back
in.
Maybe she's on a break.
Yeah, I think if we get, a few producers who want to get involved, we can connect them, and maybe they can, split the workload. I don't know, maybe per episode, or I'm thinking maybe per day of the week might make it a little easier on people. I don't know. More or less, we're going to let you guys figure that out, but let us connect you.
Right.
Okay.
And then just want to throw out there, we haven't figured out exactly what to do yet, but we are planning a March giveaway. We've gotten your emails, we got your messages with the people who have wanted to contribute their art or other objects like more silver coins. So we'll come up with that. We will
and
reach out to
exclusive Canary Cry stuff.
Yeah.
Art created by artists. It's all sorts of fun stuff. So we'll let you know when we're ready for that. And I don't know, William M., the winner of February's Silver Coin giveaway, get a hold of us, man. You're running out of time. We might, I don't know. There we go. Just putting it out there. Doing my due diligence, William.
Oh, I love the positivity coming from the chat already. You see that we're not a real channel anymore. It's fantastic. Face like the sun people. I'm not a real channel anymore. I'm just a lame podcast.
You give the haters too much. You give the haters too much attention.
I know.
You're feeding them. They're a pit of darkness that grows ever more powerful the more attention you give them.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not giving them any more spotlight. So, all right.
Okay.
Are you ready for today's Flippy Update?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Flippy Update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, it's time for the Flippy Update. If you're new to the show, we'll let you know that the Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses.
Yikes.
We used talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots and AI are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. So today, getting this from edwards.af.mil. Edwards Air Force Base, the center of the aerospace testing universe. That is their tagline on the website. They're very... very confident. The headline reads, Robot Cuts Ribbon on Rapid Sustainment Office's New Home. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, a robotic arm wielding a 3D printed dagger cut the ceremonial ribbon as the Rapid Sustainment Office officially launched its new headquarters, Hangar 1, on March 2nd. In partnership with the University of Dayton Research Institute, this one-of-a-kind facility will provide a revolutionary arena and collaboration hub in which sustainment technology ideas can be created. Interesting language here. Sustainment technology, not sustainable, which is kind of the term for,
the UN 2030 agenda.
Yeah, the climate change people and, sustainable energy, sustainment. And you might not think that that's too much of a difference. You might think they're synonymous, but you got to keep an eye out because especially with the media and especially with government, very slight changes in language, it has all the, creates all the difference in the world. But let's keep going. Sustainment technology ideas can be created, demonstrated, and implemented in order to ensure Air Force fleets are always at the ready. The event began with a tour of Hangar 01 for distinguished visitors, yada, yada, yada. They didn't pay as much attention to the robot as I would have liked. But I thought this was interesting. So, the classic ribbon cutting ceremony whenever a new base or really anything is opened. It's a big event and it's an honor. It's an honorable thing to be the one to cut the ribbon. Usually the person cutting the ribbon is some distinguished person. Maybe it's the mayor. I don't know. I'm sure Donald Trump has cut a few ribbons. But in this case, they did go with Flippy the robot with this 3D printed knife that looks like something out of the Avengers. It's very...
Well, I think
it's very ornate and sci-fi looking.
I think part of it is supposed to carry the logo of the Air Force. I think that's what that is at the bottom.
So the hilt is the Air Force wings, but the dagger part looks like I don't know, something that would contain the powers of the Tesseract that Loki would. I'm sorry, I still got Avengers on the brain.
Yeah, I think it. So. It clearly
it will kill.
Things sharp enough to ruin anybody's life. Sustainment is the noun form of sustain. So it would not be. It's not very different, but it's alarming.
No, it's but that's the thing, because sustainable energy, things like that. That's I don't know how you'd describe that. That would be like an adjective of the noun of energy. But sustainment, when it's military and government, which is basically just all legal speak, and the very specific words you use can mean entirely different things. Even the difference between sustainment and sustainable, it just makes me curious. What is their definition of sustainment technology?
Yeah, Merriam-Webster.
Maybe it's like cryogenic freezing, like Captain America,
All right, Avenger Boy. Put it down for a moment.
I can't.
Merriam-Webster defines sustainment as the act of sustaining maintenance support. So that's all it says, which is interesting in itself. Yeah, and the other part that's alarming is, well, it could go two ways. One way is this is the military capitulating to the UN 2030 agenda, the sustainable development, without being too overt about it. Like, we'll just kind of, not sustainable. Yeah, that's too triggering for our core audience. So we'll just use sustainment. Or it's trying to not associate with the sustainable development agenda and being like, that's too UN 2030 agenda. Let's
see. I'm thinking they're working with a definition that is completely, I don't know, it could be anything, but calling it sustainment gives them the illusion that they're on the sustainable train. I don't know. Again, you'd have to see how sustainment is used in their legal paperwork.
Right.
I don't think it's like a dictionary definition issue. I'm trying to think of another example of, it's like equity and equality. The social justice thing. Equality, which is, a long used phrase for the equality of different minorities and people groups and things like that, which is defined as equal opportunity. Everybody has the same opportunities in America. But now they're switching it over to equity, which is the equality of equal outcomes. So that's the new push with the social justice movements is no. It's not good enough that everybody has the same opportunity. Everybody has to have the same outcome with equity. Yeah,
well, either way, this whole thing is super sus. Don't you think?
There you go. Good Gen Z language. And one last thing with the Flippy update here. I think it's a very powerful statement, maybe some sort of spell, maybe some sort of movement, that Flippy, the robotic arm, is given the highest honor in this ribbon cutting ceremony, where, with the ribbon cutting, it's also that honorable person who does that. It's kind of considered like this is the person passing on the gift,
right?
Who is gifting this establishment or this building, and so giving Flippy the honorable position of overlord over this sustainment technology, Hangar One, says a lot in the movement towards our robotic overlords.
Was he gifted a key to the Edwards Air Force Base?
Who needs a key when you've got a cool dagger?
Just barge his way in. Yeah, but I think you're right. The symbolic gesture here is they couldn't find a human being good enough to do this. They had to do the robot. I think it's very signaling of what they're planning to do and what the agenda is here. But
bow down, humans.
Yeah. In any case, you ready to move on here?
Ready, Freddy.
Let's do it.
Space Pope Reptilian.
So we've been tracking the Pope in Iraq. This is VaticanNews.va. Things made a lot more sense with this headline. Pope Francis arrives in Iraq. This is a couple days ago. Pope Francis arrives at Baghdad International Airport, kicking off his 33rd apostolic journey abroad.
Ooh.
And the very first papal visit to Iraq. I missed that. I missed the 33rd apostolic journey part.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I mean, not surprising, but still, it's very. And there's some pictures of him walking out of the airplane. He's wearing his mask. There's one where his little cape thing is in the wind. And he looks very, very super villain-ish, or it just reminds me of Darth Vader when he walks and he flips his cape, So anyway, that's that headline. But let's look at Fox29.com. They have a good summary here of what he did. He finished it up. He wrapped up his stay there. And the headline here, Pope Francis holds historic symbolic meeting with top Iraq Shiite cleric. And it says, Plains of Iraq. Pope Francis and Iraq's top Shiite cleric delivered a powerful message of peaceful coexistence Saturday, urging Muslims in the war-weary Arab nation to embrace Iraq's long-beleaguered Christian minority during a historic meeting in the holy city of Najaf. Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani said religious authorities have a role in protecting Iraq's Christians and that Christians should live in peace and enjoy the same rights as other Iraqis. The Vatican said Francis thanked al-Sistani for having raised his voice in defense of the weakest and most persecuted during some of the most violent times in Iraq's recent history. Al-Sistani, 90, is one of the most senior clerics in Shiite Islam, and his rare but powerful political interventions have helped shape present-day Iraq. He is a deeply revered figure in Shiite-majority Iraq, and his opinions on religious and other matters are sought by Shiites worldwide. The historic meeting in al-Sistani's humble home, is it really humble, was months in the making, with every detail painstakingly discussed and negotiated between the Ayatollah's office and the Vatican. Early Saturday, the 84-year-old pontiff traveled in a bulletproof Mercedes-Benz.
Classic.
Remember our 33 update from last episode? The 33 extras
from
the Mercedes-Benz
Mercedes Museum.
Yeah, so there's a tie-in there. Pulled up along Najaf's narrow and column-lined Razul Street, which culminates at the golden-domed Imam Ali Shrine, one of the most revered sites in Shiite Islam. He then walked a few meters, yards, like how it says yards in parentheses. He walked the few meters, parentheses, yards, you Westerners, to al-Sistani's modest home, which the cleric has rented for decades. Okay, so it's not his home, he's renting it. Oh, the cleric. A group of Iraqis wearing traditional clothes welcomed him outside as a masked Francis entered the doorway. A few white doves were released in a sign of peace. He emerged under an hour later, still limping from an apparent flare-up of sciatica nerve pain that makes walking difficult. The quote,
a lot of info here.
Yeah, I know. The details are just painstaking. The quote, very positive meeting lasted a total of 40 minutes, said a religious official in Najaf who spoke on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to brief media. Now, this is a big deal, to have the Pope go there and talk to the leader of the Shiite Muslims and all this. 40 minutes? It doesn't seem very long. And especially if they have a translator, I don't think they can get into like deep discussion in a 40-minute conversation.
Yeah, what was the purpose of this whole thing?
Signaling to the world that the aliens are here and we're all uniting under one religion. Oh, sorry, okay, that's my interpretation. The official said al-Sistani, who normally remains seated for visitors, stood to greet Francis at the door of his room, a rare honor. Al-Sistani and Francis sat close to one another without masks. Oh. Al-Sistani, who rarely appears in public, even on television, wore black robes and a black turban. They wear multiple robes, I guess, in simple contrast to Francis's all-white cassock. Ooh, the dark and light coming together, the yin and the yang. The official said there was some concern about the fact that the Pope had met with so many people the day before. Francis has received the coronavirus vaccine, but al-Sistani has not. The aging Ayatollah, who underwent surgery for a fractured thigh bone last year, looked tired. The Pope removed his...
What's this guy doing breaking his thigh bone? That's a hardcore injury.
I know. And he's making himself seen at this event. The Pope removed his shoes before entering al-Sistani's room and was served tea and a plastic bottle of water. What? Come on, guys. Plastic bottle. What happened to save the world from climate changing recycling stuff? Al-Sistani spoke for most of the meeting. Francis paused before leaving Al-Sistani's room to have a last look, the official said. Well, did the Pope say anything? Did he just stare at him? Was he like, I don't understand what you are saying. You speak a foreign language. The people.
Well, I think you nailed it in that it's more of a symbol.
Yes.
You know, again, working towards this one world religion thing. It doesn't really matter what they talk about or what. I mean, there's probably nothing.
I like your shoes.
Yeah, the PR moment of having, the Pope all in white and the Ayatollah all in black coming together to share a plastic water bottle.
The Pope arrived later in the ancient city of for an interfaith meeting in the traditional birthplace of Abraham, the biblical patriarch revered by Christians, Muslim, and Jews. And there's a picture here of Iraq's Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi, who's welcoming Pramphos at Baghdad International Airport VIP Lounge. And I mean, it's pretty intense. You have you have them walking, but then you have these, I guess, soldiers, like Iraqi soldiers holding, instead of guns, you know how usually the military have guns to salute? Mm-hmm. Not always, but sometimes. Well, these guys have swords. It just looks way more intense. Like at any minute, they can just chop you.
Yeah, it's much more ritualistic.
Yeah. Quote, from this place where faith was born, from the land of our father Abraham, let us affirm that God is merciful and that the greatest blasphemy is to profane his name by hating our brothers and sisters, Francis said. Quote, hostility, extremism, and violence are not born of a religious heart. They are betrayals of religion. End quote. Religious leaders stood to greet him. While Francis wore a mask, few of the leaders on the tented stage did. The meeting was held in the shadow of Ur's magnificent ziggurat, the 6,000-year-old archaeological complex near the modern city of Nasiriyah. The Vatican said Iraqi Jews were invited to the event but did not attend, without providing further details. Iraq's ancient Jewish community was decimated in the 20th century by violence and mass emigration, fueled by the Arab-Israeli conflict, and only a handful remain. Ali Thijil, a resident of the nearby city of Nasiriyah, man, some of these names, Nasiriyah, who attended the event, said he hoped the Pope's visit would encourage investment in the area to attract pilgrims and tourists. Quote, this is what we were waiting for, he said. Quote, this is a message to the government and politicians. They should take care of the city and pay attention to our history. The Vatican said...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, and right there's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
That it's an economically incentivized thing.
Yes. Rain that money down. Shower that money down, Pope.
Yeah, we got to get the Pope to listen to the show.
I know. Not going to happen. The Vatican said the visit to Al-Sistani was a chance for Francis to emphasize the need for collaboration and friendship between different religious communities. Which, it's interesting how they mention that. I know there's always, it's framed as there's a lot of tension, and certainly there is in the Middle East and Europe, and it's just a different type of situation. In the U.S., again, if you just listen to media or watch media, it's like, we're just living in this crazy racist country and everyone's divided. But it's not really like that. I think people get along more than you'd think, but I don't know. It's always interesting when they virtue signal like this. In a statement issued by his office after the meeting, Al-Sistani affirmed that Christians should, quote, live like all Iraqis in security and peace and with full constitutional rights, end quote. He pointed out the, quote, role that the religious authority plays in protecting them and others who have also suffered injustice and harm in the events of the past years, end quote. Al-Sistani wished Francis and the followers of the Catholic Church happiness and thanked him for taking the trouble to visit him in Najaf, the statement said. For Iraq's dwindling Christian minority, a show of solidarity from Al-Sistani could help secure their place in Iraq after years of displacement, and they hope ease intimidation from Shiite militiamen against their community. Iraqis cheered the meeting of two respected faith leaders. Quote, We welcome the Pope's visit to Iraq and especially to the holy city of Najaf and his meeting with the Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani, said Najaf resident Haidar al-Liyawi. Quote, "It is a historic visit and hope it will be good for Iraq and the Iraqi people." Francis arrived in Iraq on Friday, met with senior government officials on the first ever papal visit to the country. It is also the first international trip since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, and his meeting Saturday marked the first time a pope had met a Grand Ayatollah. On the few occasions where he had made his opinions known, the reclusive al-Sistani has shifted the course of Iraq's modern history. In the years after 2003 U.S.-led invasion, he repeatedly preached calm and restraint as the Shiite majority came under attack by al-Qaeda and other Sunni extremists. The country was nevertheless plunged into years of sectarian violence. It goes into a little bit more of the history here, and then at the end, Francis's visit to Najaf and nearby traverses provinces that have seen recent instability. In Naziriyah, where the plains of are located, protest violence left at least 5 dead last month. Most were killed when Iraqi security forces used live ammunition to disperse crowds. Protest violence was also seen in Najaf last year, but abated as the mass anti-government movement that engulfed Iraq gradually petered out. So there you go. That's the overall.
Yeah, that's a lot. What's the takeaway from this?
I really think you nailed it earlier on. It's just that much of it is symbolic. This meeting is symbolic for an interfaith dialogue. It's also a shift, like a virtue signal from the last decade, 2 decades really, we had the United States military quietly stirring up all of the chaos over there in the Middle East, especially Iraq.
Right.
More than that, 3 decades, 4 decades. And so this could be symbolic in that they're moving away from that whole psyop, dropping the U.S. or at least moving on from it and putting together more of a, hey, we're more peaceful now in solidarity with the Vatican of all places. You know what I mean? Like the U.S., is a non-Catholic. I would imagine that the principles, not necessarily all the people, I'm just saying principle wise, the U.S. represents a more biblical, foundational sort of, again, like just looking at the Constitution, it represents more of a true reflection of how biblically we're supposed to live and all that stuff. But obviously with the military arm and the CIA and all the black ops and stuff that was done in the Middle East, you're not going to get a whole lot of solidarity from just America in general. You're not going to get good PR. So moving on to the Pope and the Vatican, the Vatican has had control of a lot of this area for just quietly for a long time. And I think this is more of a public thing for that. So I think you nailed it earlier. It's a virtue signaling. It's the beginnings of a one world religion type of thing, and going back to the birthplace of all the faiths. That really does drive a narrative that, hey, we really should all come together. We're all the same. We all worship the same God, and that whole narrative. So, and pulling along the Catholics, especially with Pope Francis here. And I don't know, what have you looked at the Catholic community and their response to this? Are they like angry? Are they like, hey, this is great? Are they indifferent?
No, they generally enjoy this type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The word Catholic, what is the exact, I don't have the exact definition. It basically means everything. It means all things. So, they're all about this sort of cross-cultural, partnership building, which, there's nothing wrong with, in general. It's just once you have a bigger scope of the Vatican, what it's doing economically, what it's doing internationally, and especially its role in taking steps towards things like the 2030 agenda, Agenda 2030.
We have a Catholic in the chat says, "I'm Catholic and you are wrong."
Okay.
So maybe
about what?
I don't know. Probably maybe you say
so many things.
I don't know. Am I wrong? Are you wrong? Who knows? Who's wrong? Oh,
yeah.
Well,
universal is what I was looking for here. Yes. Catholic. The definition of the word Catholic means universal.
Yes. And I know there are some Catholics that have been very much against this Pope and all of the stuff he's been, the liberal progressive agenda that he's been really pushing out there. So
this person is saying many do not like what is going on.
Right.
So
okay,
yes, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. I don't think it's very clear as to, there's no consensus amongst the Catholics either. And also I think this sets up whoever's coming into power next, Pope being 84, the Grand Ayatollah being 90, they're getting up there in age. Whoever decides to take over, they have a blueprint as to how to really usher in this whole one world religious system. So I did have one more article here, but it's really not worth reading after we read through that whole thing. So I think that wraps up our Pope.
The 33 update.
Well, it's more.
Oh no, this was this was all space Pope reptilian stuff. I get it.
Yeah. So we'll see what comes of it. And I think there's a volcano that's leaking or something in Italy. And I was checking.
Your volcano is leaking.
Yeah, I think it's Mount Etna. And I was thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe the volcano is going to explode and the Vatican City is going to fall. Because people have had prophecies of the Vatican burning up in the near future, and that this is the last Pope and all this stuff. But it's about a 9-hour drive away. It would have to be a pretty gnarly volcano eruption that takes out all of Italy for that to come to pass. But just a side note there to see if this triggers some kind of judgment.
Volcano update.
There you go.
Okay. Well, do you want to move into some Wackchine updates here?
Let's do it.
Wackchine.
A pandemic special.
So to start it off here, we've been having a conversation regarding the vaccines, the vaccines here. And part of the communication from the powers that be has been very confusing. I mean, of course, you have Fauci saying, get your vaccine or else. But also, if you get the vaccine, nothing happens. You still have to wear a mask. You still have to stay locked in your home.
Yeah.
And that's been the most confusing part about this, because I don't think there has been an updated study. The current science on the vaccines, as far as I'm aware of, is that even if you have the vaccine, if you come in contact with the coronavirus, you are still able to spread it to others. It's a protection for yourself. It doesn't necessarily keep the virus from spreading if it is in your body. There's also been a lot of talk about, even if you get the vaccine, you don't want to let up on all your, pandemic, all of the lessons that you've learned throughout the pandemic. But we have this story here, a little bit of an update from AP News. This is Associated Press here. So this is one of the companies that basically sends news out to all other news agencies. APnews.com, and the headline is "Fully Vaccinated People Can Gather Without Masks," CDC says. Dun, dun, dun.
And I like the picture here. There's a woman holding a syringe, getting ready for the vax, and she has a mask on. It's a yellow mask with a big smiley face mouth.
Yeah. It's just so you know that it's a happy thing. The article reads like this: fully vaccinated Americans can gather with other vaccinated people indoors without wearing a mask or social distancing, according to long-awaited guidance from federal health officials. Again, already here, first sentence, you have the creation of two different classes of people. This is furthering a class divide, especially if you take the social justice angle, where certain types of people have better access to vaccines than other people. It's already, quote unquote, a very unfair system, the distribution of these vaccines. And now, fully vaccinated Americans, which is, good citizens, honest, upright, upstanding Americans, can gather with other vaccinated people indoors without wearing a mask or social distancing, according to long-awaited guidance from federal health officials. Unlike those evil rapscallion unvaccinated folk. The article continues, the recommendations also say that vaccinated people can come together in the same way in a single household, with people considered at low risk for severe disease, such as in the case of vaccinated grandparents visiting healthy children and grandchildren. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced the guidance Monday. That's today. Woo! The guidance is designed to address a growing demand as more adults have been getting vaccinated and wondering if it gives them greater freedom So the vaccine gives you freedom, Americans. Don't be mistaken. To visit family members, travel, or do other things like they did before the COVID-19 pandemic swept the world last year. Quote, with more and more people vaccinated each day, we are starting to turn a corner, said CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky. During a press briefing Monday, she called the guidance a first step toward restoring normalcy in how people come together. She said more activities would be okayed for vaccinated individuals once caseloads and deaths decline. More Americans are vaccinated. See, that's the other confusing thing. Why would you have to wait for caseloads and deaths to decline if you're vaccinated? If you're vaccinated, nothing should matter. You're vaccinated. All should be okayed. Again, in the context of a vaccine confident person. More Americans are vaccinated, and as more science emerges on the ability of those who have been vaccinated to get and spread the virus, the CDC is continuing, and I like that nice little admission there. As more science emerges on the ability of those who have been vaccinated to get and spread the virus, meaning they're still not sure if it's going to work the way they think it's going to work. Oopsies, I clicked the link. There we go. The CDC is continuing to recommend that fully vaccinated people still wear well-fitted masks, avoid large gatherings, and physically distance themselves from others when out in public. Okay, that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Even if you're vaccinated, still do all the things you were told to do. CDC advised vaccinated people to get tested if they develop symptoms, no kidding, that could be related to COVID-19. Officials say a person is considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after receiving the last required dose of vaccine. About 31 million Americans, or only about 9% of the U.S. population, have been fully vaccinated with a federally authorized COVID-19 vaccine so far, according to the CDC. Authorized vaccine doses first became available in December. They were products that required 2 doses spaced weeks apart. But since January, a small but growing number of Americans have been fully vaccinated and have been asking questions like, do I still have to wear a mask? Can I go to a bar now? Can I finally see my grandchildren? I like how those two questions are. I like to imagine it's the same guy asking all these questions.
Let me go to the bar and also see my grandchildren.
Can I go to a bar? Can I see my grandchildren at the bar? Do we have to wear masks at the bar? The guidance was, quote, welcome news to a nation that is understandably tired of the pandemic and longs to safely resume normal activities, said Dr. Richard Bresser, president and CEO of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and a former acting director of the CDC. Quote, I hope that this new guidance provides the momentum for everyone. Notice how it's all about the guidance. It says the guidance was welcome news. I hope that this guidance provides momentum for everyone to get vaccinated when they can, and gives states the patience to follow the public health roadmap needed to reopen their economies and communities safely. And the irony here is that this is guidance coming from the CDC. And of course, we saw earlier in the pandemic that the CDC and Fauci were at odds. The NIH and NIAID, they were at odds, often disagreeing on the right moves. CDC seemed to be a lot more honest about the information by admitting like, hey, some things we just don't know. And also, this Fauci guy seems to be kind of intense.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things he says, you don't necessarily, this was like, I would say second half of last year, they had a bunch of they were butted heads quite a bit. And so now, and Fauci and the team Fauci, they kept bringing they kept casting doubt on the CDC, especially in the context of Trump being president. Like, oh, Trump's president, you can't really trust the CDC. But now, of course, that Biden's president, woo, whatever the CDC says goes, huzzah. Anyways, let's continue. We're almost done here. But Dr. Leanna Wen called the guidance, here we go, quote, far too cautious. The CDC did not change its recommendations on travel, which discourages unnecessary travel and calls for getting tested within a few days of the trip. That could seem confusing to vaccinated people hoping to visit family across the country or abroad. The new guidance also says nothing about going to restaurants or other places, even though governors are lifting restrictions in businesses, said Wen, an emergency physician and public health professor at George Washington University, who was formerly Baltimore's health commissioner. Quote, the CDC is missing a major opportunity to tie vaccination status with reopening guidance. By coming out with such limited guidance, they are missing the window to influence state and national policy, Wen said in an email. The CDC guidance did not speak to people who may have gained some level of immunity from being infected and recovering from the coronavirus. Of course it didn't, because they want you to get the jab.
That's funny. Her take is like, this is an opportunity to bring down the hammer even harder on governments, and you're missing it. You're missing the opportunity to tighten the screws of totalitarianism.
Yeah, well, it seems like this Dr. Leanne Wen was. My feeling on it was she was saying, the CDC should be opening it up more. Of course, tie it to vaccination status. Yeah. So, of course, you must be vaccinated. But it's not just you can get together with your family. It's go nuts. Go to the bar, get on a plane, get drunk on a plane, and then go to a Skrillex concert. It's all good. Get vaccinated, go nuts.
Skrillex is so 2014, bro.
Bro, that's he's still doing something.
I know, but still. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Side thing. Yeah, this is interesting, and I noticed this came out today as we record this show. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that a couple days ago there was a note out to the NBA that the NBA can, people won't have to get tested because they're, a lot of sports, they're getting tested every day. And the whole thing was like, hey, if you get vaccinated, you don't have to get tested every day anymore. And I thought that's interesting. That's coming out before any kind of medical authority announces anything. So if you want to know what's going on, you gotta get to the NBA first, apparently, which is interesting too, because sense. I didn't mean to have this article in the show, but I'll just mention it real quick. This is Yahoo Sports. Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of the NBA. NBA players need to unify COVID-19 vaccine message. And I guess, there's the African-American community at large is sort of skeptical of the whole concept of a vaccine. And one of the Laker players, Jared Dudley, tweeted this out. He said, yes, but no one is going to rush when you're healthy and young without enough research. The FDA hasn't even approved it yet, I believe. I think it takes for a year of data for that. And, that's a pretty good thing to see,
that's
because
a good
it's
point.
True that the FDA has not approved any of the vaccines.
No vaccine is approved by the FDA of yet. They got emergency use authorization, which does not mean the FDA thinks it's safe or has approved it.
Right. But this Yahoo Sports article takes the tweet from Jared Dudley there and says he's wrong. It says Lakers veteran Jared Dudley actually stated the FDA hasn't approved the vaccine, which isn't true at all. Which is like, all right, actually,
what's the outlet?
Yahoo Sports.
Oh, come on, Yahoo.
Yeah, you had hope for Yahoo Sports, but no go. And then LeBron
Yahoo Sports
or Yahoo in general.
I have a lot of very intense.
You have stock.
Opinions on Yahoo Sports.
Yeah, and LeBron James is quoted saying that it's a conversation that I'll have with my family. I pretty much keep it private. All right, that's actually not, that's not a horrible take.
Yeah,
But,
what a reasonable thing to do.
I know. But of course, the NBA is pushing the vaccine. They have all these Hall of Famers. They had a TV spot endorsing vaccines for Joe Public. And, the whole thing is a mess. I'm going to try to send this to, because I was watching, the NBA All-Star game was last night, just as a side note here. And, I think you were watching, Basil. You pretend like you don't watch sports. But according to my...
Very, very good and consistent at that illusion I've crafted.
Yeah. No, you were clearly at... I was watching the dunk contest, which is just a shell of its...
Did I make it on camera
I think you did. Yeah, you're in the background. You're in the background. Hold on. Let me get this... how do I send this here? Yes, I want to send a message.
I don't care much about the NBA, but I just love that slam dunk competition.
I like that you call it slam dunk.
What is it called?
It is a slam dunk, but it's just
Dunkin'
Donuts. I'll find it. We'll come back to that, but let me
Dunkin' Blast.
Sure.
Okay.
There was a Dunkin' Donuts. Did you see that photo? We won't show it here, but there was like a nude man standing on a Dunkin' Donuts sign or something.
This was a commercial?
No, this was like just something that happened a couple days ago.
No, I did not see a naked man on a Dunkin' Donuts sign.
And my take was, hey, the Terminator's back. Remember the Terminator when they show up, they're all naked?
Yeah.
Okay. So
okay.
All right, so just a real quick update about masks and Texas.
If you're working alone, wear a mask. The mask's not for you. It's to protect the people you care about.
And what happened to the story? I had it here. Oh, here it is. This is what is the outlet here? It is the Washington Post.
Oh, good.
A Mexican restaurant in Texas kept its mask rule. People threatened to call ICE on the staff. Okay. ICE being the international. What does it stand for? I can't remember now.
Prove it, WAPO. Show me the evidence.
When the coronavirus pandemic hit and the restaurant's owners faced difficult decisions, the Richards family that owns Pico's, a Mexican restaurant in Houston, quickly adapted to continue sharing their Latin cuisine, from selling to-go margarita kits to stationing a mariachi band at the curbside pickup. This week...
Real quick, Gons,
yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you. I'm going to let you do your thing. But I did just find out that the Pope is watching our show currently.
Oh.
And jumped into chat to say masks are good. Wear a mask.
Thank you, we have to we got
Space Pope Reptilian in the house.
Space Pope Reptilian.
We are honored with your presence.
No, we're not.
Reptilian overlord.
I'm afraid. I'm very afraid.
I don't know why my thing isn't working here, but okay. This week, after Texas Governor Abbott said Tuesday that he would rescind the statewide mask mandate while the vast majority of residents remain unvaccinated, the tough choice to enforce public health guidance fell to business owners, and Pico's announced it would continue requiring masks. But after such a challenging year, the reaction to their decision was disheartening. Co-owner Monica Richards said several people sent hateful messages through social media and called the restaurant, threatening to report staffers to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's what it is, ICE. Quote, "It was horrific," Richards said. Quote, "People don't understand unless you're in our business what it felt like, how hard it was to go through everything we went through during COVID. For people to be negative toward us for trying to remain safe so that this doesn't continue to happen just makes zero sense to us. Abbott's decision to lift the mandate will make Texas the largest state, When the mandate is rescinded, the majority of Texas restaurant owners say they will continue requiring staff to wear masks, but they're split on making the same demands for customers." Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the evidence, it's just on their word, apparently.
Social media posts or social media message.
Yeah, so it could be a bot.
Right, yeah. Well, and this is not surprising. The WAPO, Washington Post, of course, they're on the side of those who do not want to lift any sort of restrictions. And so there is a current media blitz, much like the Canary Cry giveaway media blitzes. This is a media blitz to defend businesses in Texas who want to keep their mask mandates. Because, of course, Governor Abbott said, we're lifting the state mandate, but if you're a business and you want to keep a mask mandate, go ahead and do it. It's just not, again, you are a grown adult who is capable of making your own decisions. The state doesn't need to tell you how to live. So, you know what? I totally respect if a business keeps their mask mandate. It's just, free market, baby. If a business is keeping a mask mandate and you don't want to wear a mask, just don't go to the business. That's what the free market is all about. And if indeed, a majority of people want or are just in love with wearing a mask and love the mask mandate, they will go to the masked businesses. This is a wonderful experiment in the free market system, and it will really, there's lots of talk about how much of Texas, is on the side of freedom, how much is on the side of big government or government control, or, how much is blue, how much is red. And I think we will find out very quickly who the people support or what ideals people support in Texas, because either the masked businesses will go out of business or the unmasked businesses will go out of business. And it'll be a great metric in how to measure the sentiments of Texans. Or they'll just both keep going because everybody's just living their lives and we don't need to fight about it all the time. Who knows?
A pandemic special.
The super painful.
LifeSiteNews.com. That was Bill Gates telling us how the jab is super painful. UK, 35 people deaf and 25 blind after taking mRNA vaccine shots. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. London, England, March 5th. Among people in the UK, 35 cases of deafness and 25 cases of blindness have been reported by people who have taken the experimental mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. The numbers are derived from the UK Yellow Card Vaccine Reporting Scheme, which is the British equivalent to the American Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, the CDC VAERS. Both the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Oxford AstraZeneca mRNA COVID vaccines were given temporary authorization in the UK by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency. Again, temporary authorization.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this is what's infuriating, that people just think like, oh, this is it. We're going to, be relieved of it. And that's kind of what, the direction that they're pushing society here, according to the CDC, saying like, oh, you can gather with like-minded vaxxed people. But
the Pope is spreading fake news in our chat.
Oh, great.
The Pope says 35 blind people had their sight restored after taking the vaccine.
We thank you, Pope, and all your great miracles, healing the blind. But you know what this made me think with the whole, because we're always thinking problem, reaction, solution, right? What if this whole plan is to get everybody, as many people vaccinated as possible, and then a few years from now, have all these people who are vaccinated have all these health issues pop up, and then they can bring out the counter vax, the vax, where they're like, well, it was experimental and the long-term effects are not as good as we were hoping. So here, take this next jab to fix all the problems.
Oh yeah. No, it's the subscription model for vaccines.
Yeah. So
vaccine, then the vaccine to the vaccine, then the vaccine to the vaccine to the vaccine.
Right. That in that regard, I can definitely see a Mark of the Beast narrative forming there with, because if you think about the Revelation 13 timeline, you have one of the horns of the beast. Most people believe that is the man of sin. Come to the world stage. He conquers everybody. And then he has a mortal head wound. And then the false prophet comes up out of the earth and heals the wounded headed beast there. So it's kind of like, it makes sense that there's more to the agenda here than just that. And, continuing on here with the whole idea of it's painful.
The super painful.
This is greatgameindia.com. Doctors.
Wait. Are you done with the blind thing?
Yeah.
Do we know why this is happening? Did they say anything about, like, what are the numbers we're looking at here?
Yeah, it's 35.
Just 35 and 25?
Yeah, latest data, which runs up to February 19th and was published on February 22nd, reveals a plethora of debilitating side effects, but this has not alarmed officials at the MHRA, who maintain that, quote, no other new safety concerns have been identified from reports received to date. They conclude from this that the overall safety experience with both vaccines is so far as expected from the clinical trials. The regulator doubled down on the support of jabs, stating that the, quote, expected benefits of the vaccines in preventing COVID-19 and serious complications associated with COVID-19 far outweigh any currently known side effects, including deafness, blindness, and death. Yeah. So
and that goes back to the big picture versus the small picture. You know, the people pushing the vaccine say, if a few people die, if a few people go blind, it's no big deal. We need everybody to get vaccinated. Whereas on an individual basis, the person who goes blind is, again, Gons, I don't know if you've seen any of the Avengers series or follow the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in Captain America: Civil War, the main bad guy, you later learn that he was just a man living with his family in Sokovia, and when the Avengers were fighting some terrorists, his family just happened to get killed in the crossfire. And, while he took 2 days to dig their bodies out of the rubble, the Avengers got to go home and sleep in their own beds. And I feel like that's what we're dealing with here, which is, maybe most people get vaccinated. Maybe most people don't go blind. But the guy who does go blind or does go deaf or whatever, does have one of these horrible side effects, we've learned from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they are actively creating supervillains that will fight against the vaccinated population.
Sure. Yeah. This reminds me...
You can find the rest of that breakdown over at Basil's Marvel Talk on Apple Podcasts.
You talked about the Illuminati over there on the Marvel Talk?
Oh, yeah. It's all about the Illuminati.
No, they have an actual group that's called the Illuminati, like in the show. It's not us labeling that.
In what show?
In Marvel, like the Marvel Universe.
Is that a new one? I have not caught that yet.
No, look here. I'm going to pull it up.
I know
here.
Hydra. Yeah. We read that thing. That's in the comic books or something.
Yeah, the
hasn't
comics.
Quite made it to the cinematic universe.
All right. Well,
I'm a strictly Marvel Cinematic Universe guy.
I
don't know anything about the comic books.
I thought you're a full-blooded Marvel guy. Yeah, the Illuminati are a fictional group of superheroes appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. The characters join forces and secretly work behind the scenes. The Illuminati was established to exist via story retcon in their first published appearance in New Avengers
retcon,
number 7.
Man. That's not canon.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I don't know anything about comic books.
Their history was discussed in the special New Avengers Illuminati May 2006. So, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. All right. They got the Cabal.
If anybody's following along and trying to watch the films with me, I'm currently on Doctor Strange.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's going to be tough to do it in the Marvel Universe unless they bring Iron Man back, because he's part of it.
Doctor Strange, the most blatantly occult Avenger.
Yeah, he's there too, as his name are Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt, and Professor X. So there you go.
Classic.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it reminded me, the story here about the blind and the deaf and all that reminded me of the lyrics of Shape of Things to Come. Remember that Future Quake intro? There's a line there that says, "Let the old world make believe it's blind and deaf and dumb, but nothing can change the shape of things to come." Remember that?
Yeah, we should play that on the mixtape after the show.
Yeah, it flags the YouTubers.
Right.
They're like, "Oh, copyright," because we're not allowed to cover songs apparently.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to this here.
The super painful.
What did you cut out of the middle of that?
It's just super
Does he
painful.
say the word side effects?
I don't remember. He says
In
some
the
stuff,
original
and then
clip?
he says some stuff. He's stumbling around, then he talks about how it's super painful.
Okay.
You remember that clip, though, right?
Yeah.
Where they ask him
He's
about
where
the
he's
vaccine.
talking about there's no bad side effects. I mean, it's all good. It's just super painful. No big deal.
Yeah. So anyway, this is greatgameindia.com. The headlines: Doctors warn severe rash may appear after Moderna COVID-19 vaccine shot. It says severe itchy rash might be a side effect. Was this must be a typo from the Indian side of there. Might be a side effect of getting the COVID-19 Moderna vaccine, warn doctors. Patients saw a big skin lesion at the injection site, and it was about 10 centimeters in diameter. And then it has this montage of a bunch of shoulders that have some pretty severe rashes. In a trial of 30,000 people, 12 people who received the first dose of Moderna vaccine saw their arms turn swollen and itchy 5 to 7 days after they got vaccinated, as per the letter published in the New England Journal of Medicine by doctors. So not a random source here. This is the New England Journal of Medicine. So,
Yeah. Yeah, some of those rashes look pretty gnarly, actually. But, Gons, I got some good news for you.
Oh, yay.
Over there in the California.
Oh.
You guys are dealing with a lot, you know? You got the lockdowns, are pretty heavy-handed. You've got Gruesome, who hopefully is on his way out, but who knows? And, of course, being a Marvel Cinematic Universe expert, I found some good news for you. Over on Yahoo.com, the headline is Disneyland Universal Studios could open as early as April 1st under new California reopening plan.
You know what this is? They're setting everybody up.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's April 1st is going to come.
April's Fool's joke.
And everyone's going to say, "Ha, April Fools, go back inside, slave, put your mask on."
This is a cruel, cruel setup for Californians here. Just real quick, Disneyland and Universal Studios reopenings could be closer thanks to new guidelines issued by California's Department of Health on Friday. Beginning April 1st, outdoor stadiums and concert venues can start to bring guests back, with theme parks not far behind. Outdoor stadiums and concert venues in all counties, regardless of what tier they're in, will be able to welcome up to 100 California residents.
Yay!
Outdoor stadiums and concert venues. I mean, the word stadium implies something gigantic. I mean, you're talking, baseball parks, football fields, things like that. You can have 100 California residents beginning on the first day of April. Interestingly enough, again, very specific, referring to California residents. So if you travel in or you don't have your residence in California, are you not allowed to go to Disneyland?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Most counties, including Los Angeles and Orange County, are in the most restrictive purple tier, but that could change in the coming weeks if pandemic conditions continue to improve. Just some numbers real quick. Theme parks can reopen on that date at 15% capacity for counties in the red tier. That capacity increases to 25 in the orange tier, 35 in the yellow tier, 20. Let's see, what is this? For outdoor venues, the capacity limits are 20% in the red tier, 33% in the orange tier. Yeah, so there you go. They're doing it in thirds. I don't know what. So Orange County, you guys are in purple tier. That's not even listed on this. I guess you got to get to red to even have 15%.
Yeah, they probably have us there because nobody here is listening to any of the mandates. You got restaurants open, people are eating inside. Nobody's. You think California? I know outside of California makes it look like we're just a bunch of loser hipster people over here, but.
Orange County is notoriously the reddest county.
Yes, which flipped blue.
Which is not saying a lot either.
No. And I think it flipped blue on some stolen election stuff going on, but I digress.
Yeah. Real quick, so 15% of Disneyland highest capacity. Let's figure out I'm not going to lie. To go to Disneyland at 15% capacity sounds like a dream come true. No lines, no nothing.
Yeah, but also if you're a pro athlete, I'd rather just have like the no audience than like 100 people in the stands. Then it's kind of like you're showing off.
Yeah,
you're like,
it's kind of
you're screaming
embarrassing.
at the fans, and it's got like, yeah, woo, all right, good dunk, LeBron. You know?
How would I search for Disneyland? I keep searching Disneyland population, but that's not right.
Capacity. Full capacity.
Okay.
That's the word you're looking for.
The problem is,
85,000. 85,000 people. An additional 10,000 cast members were running at 100% functioning attractions. It boggles the mind. Nearly 100,000 people can be within 60 acres at Disneyland.
Wow. So 15% of that makes it easy. So 15,000 people.
Yeah.
That still sounds like an insane amount of people.
15,000 is close to what fits into like Staples Center. I think Staples Center is 19,000 something seating. So yeah, it's about right. I don't know, but they're all
Although
next
I
to
am
each other.
being reminded in the chat that I believe Disney World is open in Florida.
Yeah,
already.
California is the only place not open for like technically not open with anything. We're the only state.
You guys are so cool over
it's
there.
because of Newsom.
It's Newsom science, baby! Ha!
Newsom science.
April
has taken
Fools.
off. I know. I'm expecting it now at this point. April 1st is going to roll by and Fauci's going to be, just kidding, everybody. Put your mask back on. Go inside. That's my Fauci.
That was a good impression. That's very good.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, not much else with the pandemic stuff. I do have this story that I thought was pretty funny.
He's a Satanist!
This is from newser.com. Satan tries to get a date at a subway station.
Oh, good.
The Prince of Darkness is apparently looking for a date on the Boston subway system. A 20-year-old woman approached transit police at the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority's Forest Hills station at about 10:45 p.m. Monday, which was last week, to complain about an encounter with a man dressed all in black, including a mask covering his entire face and his hood drawn tight. Police said on their website, per the AP. The woman told police the man typed something on his phone and extended his arm across to her, displaying a message that said, quote, "I am Satan," then stared at her.
Good pickup line.
Yeah, the woman said the encounter frightened her, so she pointed out, quote, "Satan" to police. The 22-year-old man told officers he was only flirting and trying to be funny and said, quote, "I was going to try to get her number."
Oh my gosh.
But
this is what happens when you don't let young men socialize for a year.
He was told that his actions were not humorous and was ejected from the station.
Yeah.
The woman was escorted by police to her destination. No names were released. So,
yeah, I think this guy learned a valuable lesson that day.
Single men out there, one thing you shouldn't do, trying to pick up women at a transit,
yeah,
subway
especially
station.
at the subway station. That makes it even weirder.
It's super weird, super creepy.
People get like murdered at the subway station and stuff. You can't be pretending to be Satan.
I'm surprised he didn't get maced. You know, that's amazing. That's being asked to get maced, you know? That's
just try that in Texas, see what happens, buddy. Mace would be the least of your worries.
Yeah. Maybe if you try it in California, it'll, it might work. You got to scope out the lady.
You might actually get a girlfriend.
That's what I was going to say. You got to scope it out. She looks like
your audience.
Yeah, she looks like the Satan type. Go for it. If not, keep your tactics to yourself. I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, I mean, it's not even a clever pickup line.
That's what I'm saying. Are people?
I am Satan. It's not a way to
and then staring at
express intent to flirt.
And then staring at her. That makes it worse. I don't know.
It's all this media that has trained a certain type of young man that like to be angsty and weird is a good way to get a girlfriend.
Yeah,
It's not.
Yeah, is it all the TV shows?
Here's you got to get some huge googly eyes. Guys, listen up. Let me tell you how it's done. You get 2 gigantic googly eyes and you scream about robots. Chicks love that.
I found the footage here. Here it is. This is Anthony Simons doing a dunk, and in the background, look at that. Look at the googly eyes staring.
Oh yeah, I was right there, man. Oh,
Right.
you caught me.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I like how the googly eyes are very attentive at watching for those who are just listening to the podcast version, this is the footage of the slam dunk basketball contest that was being referred to earlier.
I spit out my coffee there when you said that. Slam dunk basketball
who is that?
contest.
Do you know who that basketballer is?
His name is Anthony Simons. He won the dunk contest last night.
He's doing a good slam dunk in the contest. And behind this shot, there's a giant, it's like a Jumbotron screen. And people zooming in. They're just sitting at their desks. And they all look so bored and uninterested. It's really not a good look. So right in the middle of this grid of Zoom viewers, they stuck some gigantic googly eyes that look very interested in what's going on here.
Yeah, the dunk contest has not really been a good thing for a while. So, yeah.
Leo on YouTube says, "I don't see the joke. That is obviously Basil." You're right. It's not a joke. It's for real.
It's for real. I really, I know. I'm gonna get stitches.
Snitches get stitches.
Snitched you out, bro.
The googly eye revolution continues, man. Have you noticed a lot of googly eye stuff popping up in culture?
A little bit, yeah. Not a whole lot, but yeah, certainly. You were certainly on it.
I know.
Give you the credit for that one.
I'm a trendsetter.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Should we take a break?
Let's do it.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because right after the break, we've got 33 update and, of course, some politics to be talking about, as well as some deepfake AI updates. And, of course, you want to stick around for the lasers. So stick around after the break to get all of that good content. But before that, we want to thank some of our producers. That's right. I said it. Our producers. And for those who don't know, you may have noticed we don't do any ad reads, no affiliate codes, no corporate money whatsoever because every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. That's right. Advertising as an industry, according to the father of advertising in the mid-20th century, says that advertising is a form of mind control, and the average man needs somebody to craft the worldview in order to make their way through this world. And you know what? We just disagree. Just blatantly disagree. Advertising has been responsible for so many bad things in this world. Of course, censorship, online censorship, the excuse, whether or not it's the whole reason, but advertising has been used as the scapegoat or the excuse for censorship when programs or influencers or whatever are not brand safe. That's when they get deplatformed, they get shadow banned, all that type of demonetized. You're right. They just get canceled. But not only that, advertising is responsible for privacy concerns, big data concerns, all the evilness of the internet system is almost directly related to the advertising industry. So, you know what? A lot of people, they do programs online and they are able to make it work with advertising. But we decided long ago that was not the way to go. And again, more and more, not just online shows and podcasts and things like that, but also mainstream outlets are realizing that the advertising industry just the practice of advertising puts them at the whim of, it puts them in danger, is what it does. And they have to keep an eye on what they say. And even some of the biggest news outlets have started asking for, they call it donations. And I think it's correct for them to call it donations because it truly is charity. If you're donating to Washington Post or CNBC, that's real charity. But here, it ain't charity. I mean, it is very generous and we're very thankful for it. But for those who support the show or help make it happen, they are producers. That's right. They are producers because just like the real world, if you pay for a piece of media to be created, you're a producer. You can put it on your bios, put it on your LinkedIn. Go ahead, give them our email. We will vouch for you. And so there's a couple ways to become a producer with your time, talent, and treasure. We'll start out by with thanking some of our financial producers for this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 309. And the first way to do that is you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. And that's patreon.com/CCNT. We had one new Patreon producer come in over the weekend. And so I want to thank our dear new producer, Ashton.
Producer Ashton, thank you. Ashton Kutcher?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ashton Kutcher, for your producership. And that's all for Patreon. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter producer break this episode gone, so that's good because we've got a lot of great art that came in over the weekend. But here's the thing, Patreon is not the only way to become a producer. In fact, a lot of people don't like Patreon. That's okay, we support you. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a great way to become a producer of the show. You can read about the value for value model, the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, and you can become a producer. You can become a monthly producer, but if commitment is not your thing, you can come in to produce a one-time episode in any amount. Gons, there's also cryptocurrency and all sorts of other fun stuff. Fun ways to produce the show over there. Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
Stay from PayPal. First up, producer Timothy G.
Thank you very much, Timothy G, coming in with the 2021.
Yes, that is the year. And next up with the pocket
That is the year.
That is the year. With the pocket full of sevens is producer Saul.
Thank you very much, producer Saul.
Very consistent. Next up, another returning producership from Shield Labs.
Yes, also very consistent. Thank you very much.
And Shield Labs left a note here, and they said, let's crowdfund a Canary Cry comic where Basil and Gons together with a rogue flippy sidekick and a Canary Cry rebel resistance army of freedom fighters fight the Illuminati and the evil forces of the OWG technocrats.
That would be pretty cool, and that could be done. We've got a lot of great artists. We've got a producer who has the hookups with the printing company. I mean, that could be done. All it takes is for somebody to organize it and pull it off, because we've proven that we are unable to do that.
We are not equipped.
And we've got some very creative writers as well who listen to the show.
Yes, very much so. So thank you for that, all of the PayPal producers for today. Also, you can support the show with cryptocurrencies, and you can go to canarycryradio.com/crypto to look up how that happens. And the discussion about crypto has been very interesting because as I mentioned, places like Gab.com, they're being forced to only use Bitcoin or like e-checks or physical checks to accept any kind of support because PayPal, and I think they said 4 banks have shut them out. And so it's really happening to some of these folks. And really Bitcoin at the moment is a censorship resistant form of exchange. But we got some Satoshis. We got about 31,020 Satoshis, which is the smallest unit of Bitcoin, from a producer. I don't know who it is. It's anonymous, remember. The transaction is on the blockchain, but the identity.
It's about $15, a little over 15, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It's too volatile. I don't know. It's too volatile. Also, a quick thank you to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps, and we mentioned some of the the situation with that earlier. So yeah, definitely email us, canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com. You're
That's
interested.
right. And if you want to get involved with that, please email. And we thank Jade Bouncerson for those timestamps, because if you come in and you watch after the live broadcast, you'll notice that I think it usually comes in a day or two after, but there will be timestamps across the board on the episode, usually in the pinned comment, right, Guns?
Either the pinned comment, or lately I've been just throwing it in the description of the video, because
nice.
In theory, it's supposed to create these little divot marks on the video timeline, although it hasn't been happening on my videos, at least from my end. So if there are others out there, please check it out and see if there are little divots of usually there's timestamps. That's how it works on YouTube, theoretically. But for some reason, I'm not seeing those little divots. But
well, either way, you can either go into the pinned comment or in the description and just click on the topic you want to hear about. And so you can jump around the episode, listen to what you want to listen to without, committing to sitting down for the full 3 hours or whatever. And we're very grateful to Jade Bouncerson for giving us those timestamps. And That Night Wind came in and sent them for last episode as well. So if anybody wants to help with the timestamps, we want to get you in contact with the producer who's going to head that up.
Yes. And also, if you can't support with your time or treasure, you can always do so with your talent. We accept jingles. And of course, we accept your artwork.
One art, please.
And today we have a good handful of art, multiple pieces from multiple producers. This first one is New World Order Times Gazette from producer Mark.
Yes, thank you very much, producer Mark, and we're so happy to get another edition to the NW Times Gazette. All the news we're allowed to print. This is the classifieds section for March 8th, 2021. First of all, for sale, low public acceptance based on widespread misinformation has resulted in a huge surplus of COVID-19 vaccines. Order now and mix and match 500 dose lots. You can just pay shipping and handling. Give them as gifts. Include them in your kids' and grandkids' Easter baskets. Finish your stocking stuffer shopping. Act now, and every dose will come with a free implantable Vaxport.
All right.
Called Jab for Less. That's good. Okay, yeah, those are there's quite an influx of those on the market. Now, over in the Help Wanted section, we've got work in the safety of your own home to protect young people from harmful ideas. Cancel Culture International is hiring censors to carefully scan children's and young adults' books for offensive, culturally insensitive, and non-inclusive content. Base compensation plus book banning incentive. More information at www.fahrenheit451.org. Okay, there you go. Times is tough. You got to make a buck somehow. And lastly, for sale, don't let your loved ones be caught unprepared by the next pandemic or C-19 variant. Give a gift subscription to the Vax of the Month Club. In-home delivery of the very first doses of every new vaccine 12 times each year. And you can go ahead and call Vax for Life. Thank you very much, producer Mark. Always a pleasure to have the new edition of the NWO Times Gazette.
Very good. So there's that first one from producer Mark. He did send us a second one. It's more of a standalone ad here.
Yeah.
A picture
gotta
of
advertise these things. It's a nice, colorful, very deep blue background. You've got two bottles of what looks to be vaccine. It says Wu Flu COVID vaccine, attenuated live COVID-19, Coronavac. And there's the bottle, the liquid in the bottle is a very spooky green. You've got a dripping needle there. The Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, pharma.org, National Institutes of Health, NIH.gov, Centers for Disease Control, CDC.gov, and World Health Organization, WHO.org. We promise it's safe. Inspires so much confidence.
Yeah, looks like the green goo from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
It's gonna turn those little baby turtles into super fighting ninjas.
Just what we need.
Thank you, producer Mark, for those. Next up, we have one from producer Christina. And
Christine.
Christine. Yes, Christine. And there's a giant Twitter bird with devil horns and a key and little Gons going to jail with my jail outfit. And it says, "How dare you tell people facts without including the approved narrative?"
Yeah, Gons, you get what you deserve.
In reference to me getting in Twitter jail for spitting some facts about Moderna and the NIAID and Fauci and money and patents and all that fake news that I push out there.
Stop telling the truth there, Gons.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. You're a dangerous individual.
I know. So thank you for that, producer Christine. And next up we have, we don't always accept screenshots, but this one was pretty good. So I included it from, I believe it was from producer Teresa. Oh, wait, no, what happened to my thing here? Oh, no. Okay. The screenshot comes later. This is producer Teresa. This is art. It's almost like a collage of things that we do here.
Yeah, it's a nice, I believe the email called it free advertising.
Yeah.
So we've got an image here of two fists fist bumping with some lava coming out of it's very hardcore looking. Of course, says Canary Cry, and the left fist says Age of Deceit. The right fist says the Joyspiracy Theory. Then, of course, we've got a little Tweety bird in a cage checking it out, and it's a little throw over to our two powers that be the Face Like the Sun channel, and of course Age of Deceit series. Then we've got the Joyspiracy Theory, and they're meeting in the middle to create Canary Cry. And I like our little sock puppets down there on the bottom left. That's some real deep Canary Cry lore, those sock puppets.
Yeah, that's throwing it back quite a few years there. It's good stuff. Reaching into the archives for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, thank you for that one, producer Teresa. Next up, we have producer Allie, the hand drawing of
Nancy Pelosi. This is great. In reference to the clip from last episode where she was just giddy about the phrase "Open Biden" instead of "Open Sesame," which I don't know, man. It's just so cringy. But producer Allie, this is just a beautiful portrayal of Nancy Pelosi in full guffaw, I would say. Yeah, Allie, you just keep getting better and better. This is great.
Yeah, and this is Nancy Pelosi accidentally finding the keys to life, the universe, and everything. Open Biden. Love it.
Oh my gosh, she's so weird.
Yeah. All right, so this is the screenshot. Thank you, producer Ali. The screenshot coming from producer Cynthia. This is it's weird. It's Tom Hanks with the black eye, and it looks like a screenshot of Oprah's Instagram. And there's Oprah and another lady with Tom Hanks' black eye, and he's holding a sign that says, that's a handwritten note that says, "I am not allowed to talk."
Yeah, this, I forget what that originally said. Did it originally say I'm not allowed to talk?
I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
This was a couple years ago. And it was kind of in the midst of
Tom Hanks pedo stuff.
Tom Hanks kind of getting wrapped up in the Pizzagate narrative.
Yeah.
And there's just weird stuff. It's the picture with like the weird meat clock on the wall.
Right.
And he kind of seems to have a little bit of a black eye, and he's got Oprah kind of got his hand on one shoulder, and I'm not sure who the other woman is on the other side. But yeah, there you go. Screenshot. If this is the original screenshot, then that was the original note. I've seen so many memes changing what is written on that notepad he's holding up that I forget what the original was, but this might be it.
Yeah, the meat clock is weird because it's a clock with 6 hamburger patties, like raw hamburger patties, and raw hot dog. But it also kind of reminds me of the Ronavax, or not the vax, the virus, the way it looks, And this is this is a couple years before that, right? So
yeah,
signaling with the meats there. But good catch and creepy, very creepy. Thank you for that.
Very creepy.
Next up, we have a couple great pieces of photoshoppery by producer Mike B. This first one is the quotes. You know how they have those A to Z quotes things there on the internet? It's in that style. It's got a old Adam Curry with the big hair from the 80s.
Old MTV Adam Curry.
MTV Adam Curry. And the quote is, every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. And I get the feeling that if we share this on social media, we can get Adam's attention and have him retweet it.
That would be nice.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm gonna save it here. Save to computer.
Yeah.
Just because I like it so much.
Yeah, I got a response from him. Over
Very
the weekend.
good.
I was stoked about that. And then Mike B has a second one of Ben Shapiro, and it is everybody loves waffles.
Everybody loves waffles.
Definitely worth going on a quote card.
I checked in on Ben Shapiro because he did a whole thing on Bitcoin the other day, and he's definitely getting more shameless in his transitions and just his advertising.
His advertising, you mean?
Yeah, super shameless. It's pretty bad.
It's so shameful. I just can't believe that. I mean, I can believe it, actually. I've no defense for this guy. What is his name?
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just so disgusting hearing people try to make these ads seem okay.
Or fun. It's fun talking about our advertisers.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It makes me sad. But I just noticed these two quotes go together, Gons.
Oh, they do?
They should go side by side.
Oh, they should. Yeah, you're right. There's a theme
this is
here.
Ben Shapiro, his famous "Everybody Loves Waffles" ad next to Adam Curry. Every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship.
So we got one calling out the other.
Yeah, we might have to tweet both of these together here. Yeah. Thank you very much, producer Mike B.
Do you think Ben Shapiro will retweet himself saying this?
Nope.
Nope.
I do not think he will.
Well, if we get his attention, he'll think we're like liberal progressives or something, trying to.
I don't know. I don't know anything about him. Maybe he's cool. Maybe not. I have no idea.
Maybe he's cool. That's okay.
Maybe he's just playing a character or something.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe he's just a guy who just
Basil_Rosewater. Everybody or Ben. All right, last one here. This is from someone we labeled Anon, and it's like a cartoon, little mini cartoon here. Do you want to explain what's going on since it's your?
It's actually not showing up for me.
It's not.
Hold on, let me open it up. I saved it on my computer. Yeah, on our document, it's not showing up for me.
Huh.
So let me pull it up on my computer, Dora. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is great. It's this might be a beginning to the comic book. So we've got a few panels here, comic book style. Flippy, colloquial name for disembodied robot arms, taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. First panel here, you've got a robot arm, looks like dropping a stack of papers. Oh no,
pink slips.
There's a pink slip. Somebody got fired, and Flippy Arm is taking the stack of papers, saying, "I will take those now." And then in the next panel, said, "Look at me, only me, trust me, me." And this is a child wearing a VR helmet, playing some video games, and being brainwashed by the Flippy. Next, we have a hand. A human hand handing some flowers to a female human hand, it looks like. Oh no, this is Flippy.
Yeah,
Flippy is giving, flirting with our spouses. "For you, my dear." Flippy never forgets. "Beware of Flippy." I'll hold that for you. He's taking, okay, so there's a picket sign. Somebody is protesting Flippy, and Flippy goes ahead and commandeers the sign. Because, of course, a robot arm can hold a picket sign much better than a human. This is CCNT 295. Boston Dynamics Spot Robot is now armed. What normies imagine when they hear that Spot is now armed, and it shows Spot, the robot dog with an arm. What I imagine when I hear that Spot is now armed, Spot is armed. And it's a robot dog with just Gatling gun, a bandolier with ammo,
It's like
grenade launcher.
It's a Flippy Rambo.
Yeah, exactly. Flippy Rambo. And he's coming after you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Who made this one here?
We're going to call them Anon.
Anonymous.
They would like to remain
Thank you
anonymous.
very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Anonymous.
And we got your note. They said that in the past couple weeks, we talked about Robot Spot being armed. The image that popped into my mind was very different from the authors of the article. I ended up sketching a concept of my idea, but then I thought it would be too vague or abstract to understand, so I found some images and traced them for a better representation. Skip forward to the most recent show. Lo and behold, Spot has a pink gun. That's when I knew that I need to finish the sketches and shoot them over for the next show. And so they included both versions, and this is the other version here.
The second version is great, too.
Yeah, this is from CCNT 295. Boston Dynamics Spot Robot is now armed. And then what they meant, and they have the regular Spot with the robot arm picking up a glass on a table. And the other side, what I envisioned, it's Flippy, the Spot dog with, what would you call
Basically
that?
with an entire Terminator on top of it. With
Basically.
Gatling guns for arms.
Right.
That's fun.
There
I
you
like
go.
that a lot. Thank you very much, Anonymous.
Yeah, there you go. That's all the art for today. We appreciate all the producers out there and all the contributions. And, we highlight these pieces of art and the jingles and all that stuff because it really is part of the conversation, and you're providing content to the show. This is content to create discussions. You can take those and share it as a meme, and you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So feel free, go to canarycrynewstalk.com and look at all the artwork that people have sent in. We post it on every single episode.
That's right. Okay, anything else for this break, Guns?
I believe that is all.
Okay, let's wake on up.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Okay, let's start with the 33.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
Which is an Illuminati dog whistle. The miningjournal.net. 33 years later, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall returned to Zamunda. And did you ever watch Coming to America?
Yeah, that movie's got a lot of hype recently.
Yeah, I think they're redoing it 33 years later. They're bringing it back.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, message received.
Yeah, it says here, when Eddie Murphy made the original Coming to America, he was almost indisputably the funniest man in America. Murphy was at the height of his fame, coming off Beverly Hills Cop 2 and the stand-up special Raw. They were heady times. Arsenio Hall, Murphy's longtime friend and co-star in Coming to America, remembers him sneaking out during the shoot to a Hollywood nightclub while still dressed as Prince Akeem and his loyal aide, Semi. We were insane, says Hall. The 80s. It was from the 80s. 80s was a blur, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, they're doing Coming to America 2. And of course, they got the signal. They're like, it has been 33 years. You may now make the
Activate sequel.
Activate
33
sequel.
Years complete.
That's the same thing with the whole Smashing Pumpkins thing. Remember? They're like, the follow-up to our album from 1995 with 33 songs.
Yeah, right.
Kind of weird.
I know, it just keeps popping up. It's the magic number.
I know. The dog whistle.
You want to talk about some politics here?
Let's do it.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood. Now suck
Politics.
your blood.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
That's right. I'm going to talk about some politics, some mini bloodsuckers. And this next story, I'm bringing it from MSN, but it's a mirror from a Washington Post article. And just for some background here, we all know that the $1.9 trillion stimulus plan has been passed for, I think it's the third stimmy check coming out for $1,400, not the $2,000 that was campaigned on and promised to everybody. And of course, if you run those numbers, yes, you'll notice that the vast majority of 1.9 trillion is going to pork for whatever different politicians' needs, and not directly to the people. But Washington Post has a headline that's kind of gives a different view of the stimulus. Biden's stimulus showers money on Americans, sharply cutting poverty and favoring individuals over businesses.
Sorry, I hit the wrong jingle there. I was trying to hit the after showers money on Americans.
Yeah, I mean, every phrase of this is just so insulting to somebody who actually knows what's in the stimulus. Biden's stimulus showers money on Americans, sharply cutting poverty. So $1,400 is going to cure poverty in America, apparently, and favoring individuals over businesses. Well, maybe they didn't read the part in the stimulus that hundreds of billions of dollars are going to big corporations. But okay, whatever you say, Washington Post. The article reads like this: President Biden's stimulus package, which is, do you want to, real quick while I'm reading this, look up a breakdown? Maybe we can read some of the stimulus package breakdown items.
Sure. I do want to mention that 1.9 trillion is equivalent to spending $1.3 million every day for 4,000 years. That's 1.9 trillion.
It's a preposterous amount of money.
Yeah.
And and $1,400 goes to each person.
Yay.
Yeah. I mean, that's enough to give. So let's see, 1.9 trillion to 300 million. I mean, that's enough to give every man, woman, and child in America what is it? $250 million, something crazy.
300 million in America?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to say 320 million.
Yeah,
it's about $6,000.
Really? That's
six. Well, if I did my math right, hold on.
6,000. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's read this.
Yeah, it's 1.9. So yeah, about $6,000.
I did a bad brain math. President Biden's stimulus package, which passed the Senate on Saturday, represents one of the most generous expansions of aid to the poor in recent history. Oh, just listen to that. While also showering thousands, or in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars on American families navigating the coronavirus pandemic. When they say in some cases, they mean families who have like 10 kids.
Yeah.
Will get $10,000. The roughly 1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which only Democrats supported, spends most of the money on low-income and middle-class Americans and state and local governments, with very little funding going towards companies. The plan is one of the largest federal... Notice how there's no mention of the international money getting sent off either.
Yeah.
The plan is one of the largest federal responses to a downturn Congress has enacted, and economists estimate it will boost growth this year to the highest level in decades. Oh, great. And reduce the number of Americans living in poverty by a third. $1,400 is going to reduce the number of Americans living in poverty by a third. What's the poverty line? Last I checked, it was $22,000 a year.
They're probably going to move that down. Move that number down. They're like, oh, I mean, it's 14,000 now, and look at that.
I mean, how does that make sense? How does $1,400 bring somebody entirely out of poverty? It just, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. Thanks, WAPO. This round of aid enjoys wide support across the country. Polls show, and it is, no kidding. Polls always will show support for free money. And it is likely to be felt quickly by low and moderate income Americans who stand to receive not just larger checks than before, but money from expanded tax credits, particularly geared towards parents, enhanced unemployment, rental assistance, food aid, and health insurance subsidies. But the ambitious legislation entails risks, both economic and political. The bill, which the House is expected to pass and send to Biden within days, injects the economy with so much money that some economists from both parties are warning that growth could overheat. leading to a bout of hard to contain inflation.
Hey.
Meanwhile, there we go. Meanwhile, some businesses are saying that government aid has been so generous that they're already having trouble getting unemployed workers to return to work, a problem that could be exacerbated by legislation. Unlike many other significant anti-poverty measures passed by Congress in history, this one has a short time horizon, with almost all the relief for families going away over the coming year. That could be an abrupt awakening for Americans who have grown accustomed to financial support, since Congress moved swiftly to create a stronger safety net at the start of the pandemic a year ago. It also lacks bipartisan imprint of former President Trump's bills. That's very interesting. It lacks the bipartisan imprint of former President Trump's bills. Have you ever heard of President Trump being described as bipartisan?
No.
By the mainstream media?
Never.
It would have been a cardinal sin for them to call Trump, to even put bipartisan and Trump in the same sentence. But now I guess it's fine. It also lacks the bipartisan imprint of former President Trump's bills, which directed money in larger measure to companies as well as individuals. Quote, so what they're doing here, I see. They're comparing. This is how they could get away with calling Trump bipartisan, because the bipartisan part of it is, of course, Republicans would want to give companies all the money. So, yeah, okay. Yeah. I see how they got away with that. Quote, this legislative package likely represents the most effective set of policies for reducing child poverty ever in one bill, especially among Black and Latinx children. Do they not know that the phrase Latinx is just so insulting to that community? Said
they don't care.
They don't care, as long as those white liberals feel good about themselves. Said Indavar Duttagupta, co-executive director of the Georgetown Center on Poverty and Inequality. Quote, the Biden administration is seeing this more like a wartime mobilization. They'll deal with any downside risks later on. Great. Great. Cool.
It's that's just kicking the can down the road. I mean, they've been doing that for years. It's not nothing new.
Well, that's how the American system works now, ever since it was off the gold standard. You know, you just build debt, keep pushing that debt off into further generations.
Yeah.
The total numbers are staggering. Cumulatively, the government will hand out $2.2 trillion to workers and families between the relief passed last year and this latest bill. Okay, so they're combining all of the bills.
See, that's interesting, because people reading that, they'll only read the first part of that and go, see, it's all going to the people. But and then they bash Trump for half of it, and then they're like, oh, actually, let's add that Trump money in there, because otherwise it looks like we're not giving any of the money.
There's two stimuluses during the Trump administration.
Yeah, to make it seem like it's actually good. That's really deceptive for them to do that.
Very deceptive. This whole thing is incredibly deceptive.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's see here. Relief passed last year, and this latest bill, according to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budgets, a nonpartisan group, that's equivalent to what the government spends annually on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid combined. $2.2 trillion set aside for aid to individuals since start of coronavirus crisis. And then there's a little chart thing here. I don't know if that's worth.
They're saying 2.2 trillion, to individuals, to aid individuals. They've printed, I think after this 1.9, I think it's like up to 11 or 12 trillion. So what happened to the other like $10 trillion that they printed?
Ain't that the question of the day, guys?
Come on. What happened to the rest of the cash there?
Yeah. So, and then it kind of goes into the details of how it'll break down. So, if you have a family of 4 that had an income of about $53,000 before the pandemic and has one parent unemployed, stands to receive more than $22,000 from this package. That's in addition to the unemployment assistance. Yeah, that's pretty.
It's messy.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's really. There's so many like little details. So this example that they're giving. So they're giving a big number, 22,000. Oh, that's great. But the example is so specific. It's a family of 4 that had an income of about $53,000 before the pandemic and has one parent unemployed.
Right.
Stands to receive more than $22,000 from this package, which is an impressive number. But I wonder, I mean, give us what's some other examples if it's not just a Massachusetts family of 4 with a very specific income and one parent unemployed.
Sure. Well, you asked for a list of things. I found 2 articles that outlined it over the last few months here. This first one is from the New York Post. Billions in foreign aid, pet projects stuffed into COVID relief bill. It was published in December of 2020. And they outline a few things here. $4 billion for New York's MTA as part of bailouts for mass transit systems. $15 billion earmarked towards grant programs for live entertainment venues such as Broadway, $7 billion towards expanding broadband access, $1.4 billion for a construction of a wall on the southern U.S. border.
This was Trump's. Was this Trump's last one?
Yeah.
This was while he was still in office.
He was still in office, yeah.
So I don't know if this is the same stimulus or maybe it was the beginnings. Oh, this is back at the very beginning of trying to put this third one together.
Yeah, and then it goes into some of the other foreign stuff. $500 million earmarked for Israel defense purchases, including to equip the Iron Dome missile defense system. $250 million over 5 years for Palestinian economic aid, which was pushed by the New York Democrat Representative Nita Lowey. $101 million to combat, quote, the transnational threat of wildlife poaching and trafficking. $2.5 million for internet freedom programs in closed societies. $10 million for gender programs meant to help women get educated and start businesses in Pakistan. So that's one list. This other article has another set here. This is from the
I don't know if all that made it into this one. This was the Trump version.
Yeah, this is BorgenMagazine.com. Again, this is from December too. And this one lists other things. $700 million for Sudanese economic development, $85.5 million to Cambodia to promote democracy, education, and constitutionalism, as well as counter growing Chinese influence. I don't know, that language might have been taken out. Development assistance in India and Laos, $8 million to sustainable development and education in Tibet, $125 million to economic development in Egypt, $33 million to pro-democracy programs in Venezuela, $50 million towards the Middle East. So, just a bunch of, there's millions and hundreds of millions. And then $1.65 billion for Jordan, about half of which can be spent indiscriminately. Oh, okay. All right. Jordan just gets cash. $325 million for economic development in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with special emphasis on the eradication of Ebola. Still battling that Ebola. You got women's rights. You got human rights and refugee initiatives. Several $100 billion there, or $100 million, sorry. So yeah, I couldn't find a list from the most recent bill. So I don't know if there's something that lists all that.
Maybe they haven't. Maybe the full bill, because a lot of these bills, they don't make them public until they're passed.
Right.
So and they're usually thousands of pages long. So
I remember them saying that it's a 5,000 page document that they released at 9 a.m, and then that afternoon they had to vote on it. So it's not like there's. Unless they downloaded it straight to their brains.
I'm continuing to scan through this WAPO article just to see if there's anything particularly needs to be addressed. But this does say, to address the needs of low-income families, this bill does more than provide stimulus funds and extend unemployment aid. It also expands 3 key tax credits: the child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, and the child and dependent care tax credit that advocates for the poor have long urged the government to do to help reduce poverty. These programs take up about $150 billion of the bill. And in a $1.9 trillion bill, $150 billion is really not a lot.
No.
So this is kind of part of we will lift everybody out of poverty or at least 1/3 out of poverty. But it's only 150 billion that goes to these tax credits.
Yeah, there's a Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn who tweeted out a little, she's obviously bashing the Democrats here. This was published in February the 24th, and she has a little thing here. It says Democrats COVID relief wish list, art, museums, and library services, 335 million. Pelosi's subway, 112 million.
Right.
Services including Planned Parenthood, 50 million. Climate justice, 50 million. Much, much more. Total 1.9 trillion tax dollars. And I was also seeing a thing yesterday, how it said this is costing Americans 5,000 some dollars per person, and you get 1,400 out of it. Just
right.
Doing the math of what it would divide each person tax wise.
Yeah, because essentially, you got to pay all this money back, but because it's not all getting passed out to the public is also paying for all these weird little side projects that are in here. Here's a little bonus: these tax changes, along with another round of cash payments, will boost incomes of the bottom 20% of Americans by 33%.
Good job, Joe. He's getting his hairy legs patted.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how all this goes. Again, they hide. Well, a lot of the benefit is not in the cash check, at least if this article is to be believed, that most of the benefits will come from tax cuts, which, I guess that's cool. But that just gets complicated. It's like a slithery way to say that you're helping people out. Why would you why even bother? Why not just give them the cash instead of the tax credits? Because, one of the biggest things that, the government kind of takes advantage of is people in middle and lower classes not knowing all the little tax tricks to take advantage of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the biggest difference with the wealthy class is that, they have enough money to pay for a professional to help them jump through all the loops. Whereas if you're just jumping on TurboTax, you're not going to get the highest benefit that you possibly could, but they'll still take all the credit for helping you out.
Yeah, and along these lines here, Yahoo Finance had an article. The 1.9 trillion COVID-19 stimulus plans won't overheat economy. Biden economic advisor. I think you read that in the in the thing there, but let me just see what this says here. Don't count White House Council of Economic Advisors member Jared Bernstein as in the same camp of those super worried investors concerned that the 1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief will spur a strong stretch of inflation this year and perhaps hit the equities market. Quote, it's important to distinguish between heat and overheat. Nobody in the White House is arguing that there are zero risks of price pressures. That would be irresponsible. It would be something we, of course, would not do because any economic policy involves risk. So what you have to do is risk management. You have to examine the risks of doing too little against the risk of doing too much. Now the risks of doing too little are extremely limited, Bernstein explained to Yahoo Finance Live. Bernstein said it's more important to get economic stimulus in the system to help improve the black unemployment rate, those that are long-term unemployed and others collecting unemployment insurance. He argued the economy's capacity is, quote, much larger than than many of the people currently fretting about overheating inflation realize. Said Bernstein, quote, so if you put all of that together, we think we are looking at heat regarding inflation / economy, not overheat. Suffice it to say, the inflationary worrywarts continue to have control of the equities markets right now. And it goes into some numbers of yields and stuff like that. But we're talking about heat, Basil, not overheating.
Okay, heat it up.
So it's going to go, the price of gas and, a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
It'll go up, but it won't go way up.
It won't overheat. And let me be clear. Here's the thing. People who are struggling out there and having a hard time having to choose between medicine and food and childcare and surviving, I actually, believe it or not, such a revolutionary idea, don't want people to die because of this, the response to coronavirus and the lockdowns and the economic sabotage as a result. And of course, we all know the web of details when it comes to the Great Reset and some big fancy plans that this certainly is a part of. But you know what? If they're going through all this trouble, I sure do hope some people are able to buy dinner this week or next week or whatever. Because there's certainly people who are suffering a lot more than you and I are, Gons. Believe it or not, I think that might be the case. Yeah. Not to say that this I'm all on board with this stimulus, but it's something I can't control. I have no control over the stimulus. So at least I hope some people benefit from it.
Yeah, but another way you can really help out the people is to just open the economy back up and let them get back to work. That's another way to make sure that the economy gets moving and stuff. Well,
that'll be interesting to see how the bounce back happens in states, compare California to Texas or any of the other states that are opening up. I mean, Florida, who's basically been open, relatively much more open than most of the other states, seems to be doing fine economically.
Yeah, they seem to be doing okay anyway. And there was a headline
better
here
than a lot of the super lockdown states.
Yeah, and there was a headline here from the Times of India. And the headline was, universal basic income is the, quote, vaccine for poverty, says researcher Scott Santens. So
vaccine for poverty.
So that's the kind of thinking I think that's happening in the U.S. here too. That, you got your physical vaccine, but also, the economic vaccine for the poor. Just rain money down.
You can just put the word vaccine on anything and people think it's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's Joe Biden raining down money. He's showering
money on Americans.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Well, that's not the only thing Biden is doing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt your transition. But yeah, even just putting it in the words of showering money down on Americans. What is the most readily available cultural touchstone for showering money down on someone?
I don't know.
Like strippers.
Oh, okay.
That's the make
Sorry,
it rain.
my mind didn't go directly to.
Have you not heard a hip hop song in the last 15 years?
No, I mean I was thinking that's what I was thinking, like hip hop, kind of the bling culture, whatever.
Yeah, but making it rain,
making it rain.
That's the thing with the dollar bills and the. So I mean the illusion, the ALL illusion that they are. That they are comparing here to is like Biden at a strip club. Just pointing that out. All right, continue.
Yeah, this is going to be, for those of you watching on the screen, we got the money printer go burr. We're going to go ahead and pull that. Oh no, please don't play the music. Thank you. There's a little toggle. You can bring the burr all the way to the right. I think we're about here where it's, Biden's bleeding from his eyeballs because he's printing so much money. Okay, so, all right. So that's not the only thing Biden's been up to recently. He's been signing a bunch of executive orders. And this recent one here, usatoday.com, let the people vote. Biden signs executive order promoting voter access, marking anniversary of Selma March. So woke. Are you woke, Basil? Are you woke as President Biden?
No, I'm not as woke as Biden.
Are you even woke?
And it says here, Washington President Joe Biden signed an executive order Sunday directing the federal government to promote voting access in a move meant to commemorate the 56th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery marches for civil rights. Quote, every eligible voter should be able to vote and have that vote counted, the president said in a virtual address to the
What a
Martin.
revolutionary
I
idea.
know, this is the thing. I'm like, what? What are you talking? Okay. So, I mean, it's almost like self-admission, like what happened in the elections. Why is he I mean, I don't know. Anyway, let me continue here. Virtual address to the Martin and Coretta King Unity breakfast on Sunday just before signing the order. Quote, "If you have the best ideas, you have nothing to hide. Let the people vote." The order directs federal agencies to expand access to voter registration and election information. That includes directing heads of all federal agencies to submit a, quote, strategic plan to the White House within 200 days of how their departments can promote voter registration and participation. Additionally, the U.S. Federal Chief Information Officer will coordinate across federal agencies to, quote, improve or modernize federal websites and digital services that provide election and voting information under the order. Okay. This implies that everything that happened in the last elections was bad. Like the U.S. Federal Chief Information Officer was not getting good information. They're not modernized in their approach.
Yeah, well, he was one of the main. It was described as him turning on Trump. That was the guy,
right.
the information officer,
right?
And saying how, it was all perfect. Everything was fine. This was the perfect election.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just so strange how now let's clean things up. Even though I thought I thought the most voters.
It was perfect. He said it was perfect. What is there to fix?
I know he's got to sign an executive order to fix it. I thought there were more people that voted for Biden than any president ever in history. But we got to fix some things. We got to modernize. We got to improve and modernize the thing. Come on, man. Biden's executive action limited in scope comes as he backs Democrat-led voting rights legislation, H.R. 1, that cleared the House this week on a party line vote. It would usher in sweeping election changes such as increasing...
Why do we need sweeping election changes, Biden? If it all worked perfectly and everything is fine, why are you introducing sweeping election changes?
All right, let's find out what exactly he's sweeping.
This
here.
is maddening.
It is.
Listening to this, I'm losing my cool. This is crazy.
You're getting triggered, bro. Calm down.
Oh my gosh.
Sweeping
the
election.
Hypocrisy is painful.
I know.
It is physically hurting me.
Sweeping election changes such as increasing early voting, reducing photo identification requirements.
Oh, good. Yes.
What?
Yes.
Why?
No. Yes. This is good. I want to be able to show up in a ski mask in several different colors of ski mask with different names and just no need to verify who I am.
Allowing same-day registration and requiring independent redistricting of congressional districts.
What was that last part about the redistricting?
And requiring independent redistricting of congressional districts.
Yeah, so they want to what is the term for that? Gerrymander. They want to re-gerrymander.
The bill would also combat efforts of Republican-controlled state legislatures across the country that inspired by former President Donald Trump's false claims of widespread voter fraud in his election loss, are considering new measures that would restrict voter access. Maybe they're trying to clean up voting, and Biden's just trying to open it back up even more.
Yes, because of course having to show identification is restricting access to people who are not
supposed to vote.
You know, and just to mention, because of course, the big Democrat talking point of this, just to put it bluntly, not to put it in Democrat speak, to put it bluntly, they're insinuating that black people and Latin American people aren't, I don't know, are they not smart enough? Are they not?
Right. It's insulting to them.
It's insulting. Yeah. Who did the man on the street thing with, I forget who it was. It's one of those man on the street guys who walk around with a microphone, and he went around and asked, people of color of all varieties, do you have a driver's license? Can you get an ID? Are you offended that you need an ID to vote? And they're all like, no, this is crazy. Of course I have an ID. What an insulting thing to ask me. Of course I do. And so, yeah, anyways.
Might have been Mark Dice or something. But,
it was someone like that. Yeah.
Says here, the Unity Breakfast fell on the 56th anniversary of Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama on March 7th, 1965. More than 100 peaceful protesters on their way to Montgomery, including the late Rep. John Lewis, were met on the Edmund Pettus Bridge by a wall of police. The protesters were tear-gassed and beaten. Lewis's skull was fractured. Quote, the legacy of the march in Selma is that while nothing can stop a free people from exercising their most sacred power as a citizen, there are those who will do everything they can to take away that power, Biden said in his remarks to the attendees. Isn't he the one taking away that power? And he goes on and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's virtue signaling. And
of course.
Let me list let me just quickly go through some of the bullet points here of what the other things the executive order would do. Direct federal agencies to assist states with voter registration efforts under the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. Order the General Services Administrations to improve and modernize the federal voter registration website, vote.gov. I like it when they have to sign an executive order to improve a website.
Yeah.
Just can't do it.
The Biden-Obama camp is famous for that.
I know. The Obamacare thing,
website,
that was a
biggest
disaster.
Failure on the internet.
Oh, that was horrible.
About the ID thing, you get your ID from the government.
Yes.
If you have a certain population who is unable to get an ID, that's not their fault. That's the government's fault. Why not work on making it easier and more, I don't know. I don't even know what the problem is in the process that they are imagining. Again, I don't think there is one. But why not just make it easier to get an ID if it's apparently so difficult that people of color can't figure it out? Biden.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Jared over on the YouTube mentioned something. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but he said, why do we let rich people run everything? They just snowball money and bury you. It happens every couple hundred years. I would say it happens even earlier.
Much sooner
more
than
frequent than that. But what if there was like a cap on wealth that would exclude you from being able to become a politician? Like,
well, that makes sense.
If you have more than $1 million, you can't run. I don't know what the number would be. Again, $1 million isn't necessarily all it is cracked up to be. Call it 5.
Yeah.
Although I learned from what was that TV show? Oh, what is it? Succession. Did you watch Succession?
I have no clue what that is.
It's I think it was an HBO show that it was a narrative.
I don't have the Hobo Network, so
okay, that followed the lives of a really rich family who owned basically like a Fox News type thing. It was kind of like based on the Murdochs or something.
Yeah.
But one of the scenes on there, somebody who was not rich was offered $5 million and was like he was talking to his rich friends like, oh, should I take this $5 million? Oh my gosh, I'll have so much money. And the really wealthy people were like, having $5 million isn't even worth it. It's not enough money to, after you pay taxes, it's not enough money to live rich. Like you can't like buy the Lamborghinis and the yachts and have the mansion with $5 million, but it's not enough to be rich, and it's too much to be poor.
Okay.
So you have all the rich people problems, but none of the rich people benefits.
Okay. I wouldn't mind having $5 million, even if they took half of it in taxes. I can buy a property here.
The point being that doesn't make you a wealthy person necessarily.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like $5 million, you're not getting invites to like.
But that's a good idea in principle. But what's going to happen with that is they're gonna find loopholes to siphon off money to family members, or they already do that kind of thing anyway. So it's good in principle. I like what you're thinking, Basil, but
I think it's a step in the right direction.
Sure,
at least.
I just don't think it's, even if they implement something like that, they would find loopholes.
Hey, look, most of what I say is not practical. I speak from the heart. Okay.
Very good.
Let me just be clear about that. I think that would be a good understanding for everyone. Is that most of what I suggest is not practical, which is why I'm not a politician.
Right. And you know who else speaks from the heart is New York Governor Cuomo.
I touched.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you stepped on it.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I got so excited about this story.
I touched inappropriately.
Yes, you did, Governor Cuomo. This is coming from WKBW. This is ABC 7 in Buffalo. Headline, Governor Cuomo to sign state legislature's emergency powers bill. Now, this scared me reading that headline, but let's get into it. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced on Sunday that he is signing a bill passed by the state legislature on Friday that will limit his emergency powers. This follows the state legislature agreeing to a deal on limiting the governor's emergency powers on Tuesday. Why is there a deal? Why is there a deal that anybody has to agree to? The Senate Democrat majority said Friday, quote, this system restores the pre-existing balance of power, ensures genuine checks and balances, even during a state of emergency, and mandates a better flow of information between the governor, the legislature, and the state's localities for the remainder of the pandemic. Senate Republicans said Friday the bill was a sham, and they voted in unison against it. Interesting. The legislation impacts the following: revoking the governor's authority to issue any new directives. Okay, sounds good. Authorizing the governor to extend or modify directives that are currently in effect to respond to the ongoing pandemic, but requires 5 days notice to the legislature or to local officials before that extension or modification goes into effect. That's kind of a nothing burger. That sucks. Excuse me. Next is requiring the governor to respond publicly to any comments they received from the legislature or from local leaders if a directive is extended. They need to respond publicly. Okay, so trying to get some transparency there. Cuomo can't do back dealings.
Okay.
Requiring the governor to create a searchable database of all executive actions that remain in force to inform lawmakers and the public of current state of law. That's nothing.
It's nothing, but I'm surprised that they don't have that.
Yeah, that should be a thing already. That's crazy it doesn't already exist.
Yeah.
But I love the wording. Requires the governor to create a searchable database. Yeah. It's like, Cuomo, you need to get on.
You better learn some JavaScript.
To learn to code. Cuomo, you need to sit for 100 hours and tediously write out the code for a database. And you can't get any help. This is the test.
That is a great image right there. Cuomo just, I don't know.
The law says you have to do it, Governor.
href equals.
Gotta get your, oh gosh, I'm forgetting all of my database software names. Mosquito, I think, is one of them. Anyways, allowing the legislature to determinate a state disaster emergency by concurrent resolution. So it sounds like kind of like a legislature can veto a state disaster emergency.
Okay.
Oh, so they can end the state of emergency. Okay,
right.
Got it.
So he's the governor totally in charge.
Yeah, the governor reiterated on Sunday that he does not plan on resigning following allegations of sexual harassment from several aides.
I like how they just slip that in there at the bottom.
Yeah.
They're just like, and also he's not going to.
I think there was another woman who came out recently, too.
There was. It was just coming out in droves.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Well, I mean, he did admit,
I touched inappropriately.
I mean,
out of the horse's mouth. So in response, the small government lover in me does like that they are limiting his emergency powers, that they're trying at least to strip him of his authoritarian powers in a state of emergency. It does kind of seem like it's a little bit weak, the legislation taking away some of his powers. It doesn't look like it's as strong as it should be.
Now, here's a question.
It is something.
What kind of stuff are the Republicans there? You know, what kind of dirty laundry do they have that they would call the bill a sham and vote against it?
Yeah. What else? What is not on this list that they don't like?
Yeah. Well, either that or just in general, they're like, oh, wait, no, limiting power. That's a sham. It's
I wonder. That's a good question. My instincts tell me that there's a bunch of loopholes in this, that when they call it a sham, meaning like it's not what it seems. It's trying to act as if it's limiting his power, but it's really not. But maybe they're considering, because certainly Cuomo won't get re-elected, and he may even get thrown out before the end of his term, which would give the Republicans a chance to take over. And maybe the Republicans don't want to limit these powers because then their guy can't do it.
Oh, maybe. All right.
You know, I mean, everybody's playing the same power game. It's not like the Republicans wouldn't wish that they could have an authoritarian as the governor.
Yeah, there's a quote here from Senate Minority Leader Rob Ort in the link provided there. Quote, "The rescinding of the governor's powers shouldn't be like punishment."
They should.
I know.
He should be punished for what he did. He killed 15,000 seniors and then lied about it.
Yeah.
And also is a real creep, touchy-feely creep.
Well, according to Ort, he says that's not going to bring closure or justice to the women. That's not going to bring closure or justice to the people who lost loved ones in the nursing homes, and should have happened months ago because the legislature wanted to get back to the job of legislating. I think there's a
this is that old trick. This is an old trick, and it's a victim. It's a victim putting words in the victim's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if Cuomo killed your grandma and was inappropriate to your daughter, would you want him to be out of office? If you knew that you couldn't put him in jail or give him the old left hook,
the least that could happen is get him out of office.
It's a little bit of justice. It's not no justice. They're making it sound like it means nothing. It would mean the world to thousands of families.
Yeah, well,
to have him out of power.
Yeah, that makes too much sense there, Basil. It's impractical what you're saying there.
It is true. Most of what I say is impractical.
Sure. I had a story here from the Gateway Pundit that I put maybe in the notes because it's not that much of a story. I'll just mention it briefly. Again, it's Gateway Pundit, so keep that in mind. After finding shredded ballots in a dumpster earlier today, a mysterious fire breaks out at Maricopa County's officials' farm. So, another fire. Anytime there's legal stuff surrounding voter count or ballots, and then there's a giant fire, a little mysterious. And the picture there, I mean, it's a fire. It's a big time fire.
Big old fire.
And I included this in politics just because it has to do tangentially with politics. And I was going to include a clip from Jason Whitlock, but I didn't have an opportunity to fully clip it. The story here is from CNET. Meghan and Harry's explosive Oprah interview, the biggest revelations. Did you hear about this? It was trending all last night. It was UK, what was it? Black Twitter versus UK Twitter.
Yeah, I saw it popping up. I didn't even touch it, though. I'm surprised you did. What's in there?
Insanity. Celebrity royalty met British royalty Sunday night when talk show queen Oprah Winfrey interviewed Prince Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Technically, didn't they lose all the titles?
I don't even know anymore. I thought I understood what was going on.
Yeah, I don't really care
think
too
I
much.
do.
And no one held back. Among other revelations, American-born Meghan Markle told Winfrey representatives of the palace were concerned about their son's skin color and offered her no help when royal pressures drove her to very real thoughts of suicide. Here are some of the headline-making revelations to emerge from the much-anticipated televised interview on CBS. Baby Archie's skin color. Meghan, now pregnant with the couple's second child, revealed that at least one person in the palace whom she didn't name was concerned about the skin color of the Sussex's first child, son Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, who was born in 2019. Okay, that I think that was the one that really, freaked out Black Twitter. They were really up in arms, and I mean, they were just tweeting memes of, Wakanda forever and all kinds of stuff. I think they were.
So what is this? They're just saying that the royal family didn't want a black person in the family.
Yeah,
didn't
the quote
want
here
a
is
dark-skinned prince.
Yeah, they were saying there were also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he was born. Meghan said, "This is very strong, and the palace will face serious questions." Tweeted ITV royal editor Chris Shipp. Meghan's suicide thoughts.
I don't know why this is surprising to anybody.
It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be.
Oh no, the British royalty wants is racist? Of course they are. That's the whole thing. That's like their whole thing.
I know, but here's the reason why I wanted to clip the Jason Whitlock thing is because he was on some show on Fox the other night, I think last night even. And he went on this little rant about how in the United States, I'm going to summarize it as much as I can here, that in the U.S., the black community, which Jason Whitlock is an African-American, so he's like, that's my community. He says that they've replaced religion for, or just even what was the quote? Man, I wish I had it. Basically replacing Jesus Christ with race. And so race has become their religion, and they've kind of been psyoped. He didn't use the word psyop, but in many ways he was saying that the black community has been psyoped into replacing their faith with skin color,
with identity
politics, and they care more about the color of people's skin than they do about Jesus Christ and God. And when you do that, he was mentioning how any race or even atheists have to admit that. The United States, the reason why people are swarming in across the borders is because of the Judeo-Christian values that have been upheld in this country and the freedoms that are associated with it. And so it's strange that we are so focused on race as the black community when really that should be the least of our problems, and we should go back to just worshiping God. So it was a good clip, and as I always look for stuff like that coming from an outspoken African-American that goes against the tide of the narrative. And of course, he was fired from ESPN for having those thoughts. So he's a canceled guy.
Yeah.
So he's not afraid to say it anymore.
What's this guy's name?
Jason Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that's a quasi-political thing here, politic.
Yeah, imagine that. A family who thinks that their very DNA is divine to rule over the world is just a little bit racist. Who could have imagined?
Yeah. All right. So that's all the politics we have. I have a couple of deep fake / AI news.
We are in deep fake.
Artificial intelligence.
Oh, this is good. Let me grab this one real quick, and then you can take us out. What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This is from don'tboreus.thebrag.com. Headline is Creator of Tom Cruise Deepfakes on TikTok apologizes for freaking us out.
Oh, thanks, guy. Real nice of you, guy.
It's so nice to get an apology once in a while. The creator of viral deepfake videos on TikTok that falsely depict Tom Cruise practicing his golf swing and other tricks has apologized. We played these videos on the live stream an episode or two ago, and I think so far they're a good example of some quality deepfakes, the kind that we should be worried about.
Yeah.
And it goes on, Tom Cruise can be pretty scary at the best of times. Last year, he had a meltdown on the Mission Impossible 7 set after he pointed out that crews were not adhering to proper COVID-19 procedures. Fair, but no need to scream like it's Jerry Maguire and you want someone to show you the money. Real life Cruise is scary enough. You already said that. But now that a series of viral videos from TikTok creator and Belgian visual artist Christopher Ume have been doing the rounds. Users are worried. The videos are deepfakes, or ICYMI. What does that mean? Have you seen that abbreviation before?
No.
I've
ICM.
ICYMI.
Yeah, let me in case you missed it. Oh, it's just saying in case you missed it. In case you missed the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought you were in touch.
I thought there was
Generation Z
some
plus
acronym for deepfakes that we had not heard of before.
No.
Like, how would we not know what an acronym for a deepfake is? Okay, the videos are deepfakes, or in case you missed it, videos that are edited to replace the person in the original video with someone else, especially a public figure, but done in a way that makes the video look just like the real thing. That might be funny if it's your friend's birthday and you want to mash their head onto someone else, but in age where it's hard to tell what's real and what's not, that's got to be concerning. Deepfake and fake news, anyone? Oh, this is a really bad article. In the TikTok video below, Uma starts off by doing a magic trick with Cruz's head and assures us it's the, quote, real thing. As TikTok user Cheyenne Riaz tells us, quote, I am genuinely scared by this Tom Cruise deepfake. It's brilliant but terrifying. In another clip, deepfake Tom Cruise asks us if it's cool if he plays some sports and practices his golf swing. Uma, who worked in collaboration with Tom Cruise impersonator Miles Fisher, explained why he created the videos. Quote, I'd like to show people the technical possibilities of these things. I don't intend to use it in any way where I would upset people. I just want to show them what's possible in a few years, he told The Guardian. He goes further to say that by 2025, it might even be the next Snapchat filter. Yikes, get rid of those dog ears. Quote, I just strongly think that there should be laws to help with responsible use of AI and deepfakes, Uma said. That's one way to highlight the issue, but surely TikTokers would be suspicious of Cruz joining the platform to begin with. I did not hear an official apology in there, but I'll take their... nowhere did I hear an apology, but okay. But you know what? Guys who are putting together these deep fakes and putting them on TikTok, I support them because they're bringing attention to what needs to be brought attention to. And it is freaking people out. And it's because people haven't been aware of this, Gons. Believe it or not everybody listens to our show and hasn't been listening to it for 5 years. If they did, they would all be prepared for this deep fake thing. Yeah. But this and that other 24-year-old guy, they're really bringing this deep fake thing to the forefront. And I believe them. I don't think these guys really, I think they're just trying to make money on TikTok, really.
You can't blame him, really. I don't think their intentions aren't to deceive. At least they're upfront about the fact that they're deep faking.
I think they're doing a great job of bringing attention to the dangers of it to a generation on TikTok that you and I are not reaching.
Clearly, unless we open a TikTok account, which I will not do. I will not.
I refuse.
Feed the CCP more data than we already do.
They already got too much going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. So the cat's out of the bag. At least this guy is coming out and telling everybody to be careful.
Well, what is he going to do? Is he like, no, keep faking it? No, I'm really him, guys. It's really me. It's Tom Cruise.
I don't even know if he meant to like trick anybody.
No, I don't think
he did a great job doing it on accident.
He went viral for sure, and that I guess is worth at least the attention.
Well, and you make money on TikTok. You don't even need to be monetized or anything. You just straight up make money. Yeah, with posts. Every post you get, you can. I think you do have to hit like some threshold, like 10,000 followers. But as I understand it, the algos over on TikTok make it extremely easy to get a bunch of followers and make money.
All right. Well, maybe I'll put myself on the chopping block and TikTok away.
Do it, Gons.
For the good of the gospel, I will sacrifice my data to the Chinese government.
Yeah,
so that we get the word out.
Great.
Yeah. What should I do first? Should I
don't know. You got that Mando helmet.
That's true. Just do stuff with the Mando helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a place to start, at least.
Yeah. All right. Another update here.
Artificial intelligence.
One of the limits of AI and robots and especially AI is voiceovers. It's been very difficult for machines to mimic human voices, but the progress being made is pretty substantial here. This is Deadline.com. Sonatic brings artificial intelligence to new path for voiceovers. And I wish this video was a little bit shorter. It's like, I think it's like 4 minutes long. I'm going to play maybe a couple minutes of it to get an idea, at least an idea of what the voiceover sounds like. Let me read real quick. In the Zagar and Evans pop song classic in the year 2525, the duo sang for a year where, quote, some machine is doing that for you. Voiceover actors, welcome to the future. A company called Sonantic has created what it claims is the first artificial intelligence voice models that sound genuinely human and capable of expressing, quote, a wide range of complex human emotions, from fear and sadness to joy and surprise. Gaming producers like Obsidian Entertainment, Splash Damage, and 4A Games are already on board with the technology, which is in use for development through post-production. The concept is similar to CGI for audio. Human realistic voice tech is in its infancy, but along with this brave new frontier is a new opportunity for voiceover artists banking their words for future use. All right, so let me play a little bit of
I can see this hurts, but I had to tell you sooner.
Forget it. I trusted you.
But if you look at it...
You never listen. You don't listen. You're never here when I need you.
AI voices are transforming how...
All right, so it goes into the whole thing here. That at the beginning there, that was the AI voice, which ironically, the narrator of this sounds more AI than like the actual clips, the little samples there.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty good.
Not bad. Let me play it again just to get an idea here.
I can see this hurts, but I had to tell you sooner.
Forget it. I trusted you.
But if you look at it...
You never listen. You don't listen. You're never here when I need you.
So I will say this. It sounds like a human. It sounds like bad acting, but human bad acting nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a clip here where one of the engineers goes into one of the options here. And let me see if I can find it.
Evolving. Justin had a call with the AI team to get a first look at one of the new features.
So if you take a look at Taylor, she should now have the ability to shout.
Okay, so this is expressive.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Oops, sorry.
You only had 5 laws to follow, and you broke them.
And then I just go here to style, and then shouting.
What the hell is wrong with you?
All right. Sorry about that. But there you go. You can see how you can change the intonations, and it'll it gives you a different...
That's pretty fancy, man.
It is fancy.
Do they give a software name?
Yeah, it's Sonantic. The company is Sonantic. Yeah, let me go into the website here. It's sonantic.io. AI voices, stunning realism, captivating emotions.
S-O-N-A-N?
S-O-N-A-N-T-I-C. And, I wanted to bring attention to this because, nobody's really talking about it. But this is a huge, huge step in AI. That was one of the hurdles, the uncanny valley, the voice of machines.
That's really impressive. I mean, we've been following this for a long time, and of course, Adobe has their version of it. But to be able to change the
intonation,
and the emotion and stuff behind it, that is pretty impressive. This is one of the spookier deepfake things that we've.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay, how do we do it? Learn more, get advice. No, just sell me your software. I want to get started on my info.
You got to give him all your
disinfo project.
You got to give him all your data first.
Oh, geez.
Premium quality AI voices. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's.
You know what's funny is like, what is the reason for this? What is the purpose at all?
Okay, so if you watch the rest of this video clip and you talk to the engineer of Obsidian Games, his thing is that, hey, when we're scripting video games, we have to use those static voices. We have the script, and then we just use the crummy AI version of the voices right now. So we have to imagine the type of emotions that are behind it until we get a voice actor in there and actually read the lines. And he's like, well, now I don't have to do that. Now I can just, play around with the different intonations and emotions and have that right at the beginning during some of the pre-production phase. Or
the video
early
games,
production.
that makes a lot of sense. You know what else occurred to me is narrative podcasting.
Yeah.
You know, because there's podcasts out there that are more like story-driven narrative podcasts where it's like a radio play or something. And those are really hard to do because unless you have the actors reading, you know, at the same time, reading at each other, it's really hard to like send the script off to one voice actor and have them read it and send it off to another voice actor and have them read it and try to mix it. It just very rarely works out the way you want it to. But if you could just sit there for a day and write out the script and plug it into this software and have it automatically do that. And again, it does a good job at mediocre acting.
Right.
But unless you're paying a bunch of money, you're going to get mediocre actors anyways.
Yeah.
So that seems like an easy way to make a lot of story-driven podcasts very quickly.
Yeah. And you know what's going to happen too eventually. Right now we have the timeline of like Adobe or Pro Tools or whatever to fix audio. And, you know, you can edit yourself in many ways. You can, you know, like for example, the Cuomo thing, like the Cuomo clip is edited, folks.
I touched inappropriately.
That is edited. He didn't actually, I mean, he said those words, but I took out the not, right? He said, I did not. So I took out the not. So you can edit in that way. But I think in the near future, you can just have a bank of your voice and, I forgot to say something, or I got to fix this word here. And you can just do it without having to say it again into a microphone. Yeah. You know, I can imagine that kind of thing becoming an option in the future. But yeah, this is another one of those things that we keep track of. And certainly I was fairly impressed with the progress. We just hadn't heard about it and people don't really pay attention to it too much. But here we are.
Until it gets on TikTok.
Until it's on TikTok, yeah.
Then all of a sudden, everybody's paying attention.
Yeah. It's weird how they're trying to get robots or just AI to sound more human. Meanwhile, you know, with like music and artists and stuff, they're trying to get humans to sound more robot, you know, with all the auto-tune stuff.
Filters and auto-tune.
It's a two-way street, man. It's just opening up that dimensional barrier between here and the creepy robot realm. So we got one more quick story here, and then we'll call it an episode. This is a laser story. Woo! ThePrint.in. World's tallest trees store more CO2 and are bigger than we imagined. Finds laser technology. Now, I was kind of stunned when I read this.
Yeah, wait, what? They're saying trees are bigger?
Yeah. Let me just read this for you because it's kind of weird. Okay, I thought we knew how to measure things, but I guess not. They are among the largest trees in the world, descendants of forests where dinosaurs roamed. Now, laser technology reveals the true scale of a giant redwood in North America. And
laser technology.
And it's bigger than we imagined.
Better, bigger, tastier.
As well as being the grandest, California's sequoias are among the oldest trees on the planet, living for up to 2,000 years. Measuring their size is much more than a matter of cultural curiosity, since their bulk determines how much carbon dioxide they've sequestered over the centuries, a factor that's rising up the agenda in the fight against climate change. Until recently, measuring these trees meant scaling their 80-meter-high trunks with a tape measure.
Really?
I was going to say, what?
Has the drone industry not figured out how to measure a tree yet?
Or just... Okay, I was kind of like, what are you... Okay. Now, a team of scientists from University College London and the University of Maryland uses advanced laser scanning to create 3D maps and calculate the total mass. The results are striking, suggesting the trees may be as much as 30% larger than earlier measurements suggested. Are they?
Well, I mean, trees do grow, so
I get it, but still, it's just so weird. It's like that know how to measure things.
Weird.
I know.
In a time when we are like masters of measuring and categorizing everything around us, we really could not accurately measure the height of a tree?
Part of that could be due to the additional trunks the redwoods can grow as they age, a process known as reiteration. Measuring the trees more accurately is important because carbon capture will probably play a key role in the battle against climate change. Probably. Forest growth could absorb billions of tons of carbon dioxide.
Wait, why is there any ambiguousness at all about trees' role in climate? That is crazy. I feel like this article was written either by a baby or by an alien who just got here.
Forest growth could absorb billions of tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere each year. Quote, the importance of big trees is widely recognized in terms of carbon storage, demographics, and impact on their surrounding ecosystems, the authors wrote in the journal Nature. Quote, unfortunately, the importance of big trees is in direct proportion to the difficulty of measuring them. So weird. People measure ginormous objects to build like pyramids and monuments and skyscrapers and do all that, but we can't measure trees. It's just weird.
What are we paying these scientists for?
I don't know. Now that we have the laser.
It took us lasers to figure out how to measure a tree.
Redwoods are so long-lived because of their ability to cope with climate change, resist disease, and even survive fire damage, the scientists say. Almost a fifth of their volume may be bark, which helps protect them. Mm-hmm. Earlier research by scientists at Humboldt University and the University of Washington found that redwood forests store more than 2,600 tons of carbon per hectare, their bark alone containing more carbon than any other neighboring species. While the importance of trees in fighting climate change is widely accepted, not all species enjoy the same protection as California's coastal redwoods. In 2019, the world lost equivalent of 30 soccer fields of forest cover every minute due to agricultural expansion, logging and fires, according to the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, after they sued WWF, the World Wrestling Foundation. Although the rate of loss is reported to have slowed in recent years, reforesting the world to help stem climate change is a massive task. So there you go.
What a weird article.
Lasers. Now we can measure the size of trees.
Before the lasers, we had no idea how to measure these big guys. These big, beautiful guys. We just had no idea how big they were.
And then we measured it with lasers, and oh my gosh, they're bigger than we thought.
Turns out our measuring tapes were really wrong and bad. Good thing we have these lasers.
I just think it's weird that they're, until recently, measuring these trees meant scaling their 80-meter high trunk with a tape measure.
I feel like there's math or something that you could do this with. Like,
it's accurate. I'm just picturing these guys, these tree huggers or something like, oh no, we ran out of tape measure.
We have drones.
Go back to
we have drones that can, like, I don't know, do everything. Drones that can repair bridges and make whole scans of entire cities. Really? You just now figured out you can use lasers to measure a tree?
Yeah, Cigar the Beast in the chat brings up a good point, too. It says 80-meter high trunks. So they know the measurement. Maybe it's the laser. This is after, it was written after the laser measurements. So obviously they can mention the height of the trunk or the tree.
Yeah, that is
just a very strange.
So bizarre. Okay, well, we did it, everybody. We finally measured a tree. We finally figured out how to measure these dang guys.
You're right, a baby wrote this. The baby's like, we were trying to climb the tree to measure it. And then thankfully, the University of London and the University of Maryland gave us lasers.
So many other ways to measure the tree. All right. Well, I think that's it.
I don't think we can top.
I don't think
the trees.
That has officially broken my brain.
Yay. Success. We did it. We've succeeded. There's nothing else for us to do today.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Remember, we're going to be circling back around on Wednesday. What?
Circling back.
Oh, yeah. We're going to circle back on Wednesday, March 10th. So make sure to put it on your calendar, turn on notifications. If you haven't done it yet, if you're still sitting there and you have not pressed the like button or subscribed, you need to do that all now.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
That's right. And make sure to tune back in. We'll see you on Wednesday. Now, here's the thing, folks. We understand different parts of the month are a little bit more difficult to make resources available for your favorite podcast. But here's the thing. We will continue to stay on the value for value model because all corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. And we make it a point to not be locked into the shackles of the advertising industry, taking corporate money for our own personal gain and turning you, dear listener, into a commodity to be bought and sold to corporations around the world. Instead, we're on the value for value model, and we'll be looking for producers for Wednesday's show. So if you've produced before, maybe you haven't produced before, maybe you're considering, is it worth my resources to keep a show going that has no ties to any corporate money? Well, now's a good time to pray about it, folks, because remember, it ain't no joke. I mean, if the producer stopped producing, the show doesn't get produced, and but we think that it'll be a while before that happens. So go ahead and head on over to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, or if you don't like Patreon, head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right, canarycryradio.com/support. Become a producer, and if you haven't done so yet, make sure to thank your producers today, because they're the ones making it possible for today's episode. So, and I want to thank those producers of episode 309, and that is producers Ashton, Timothy G, Saul, and Shield Labs. Thank you guys so much for coming in hot. You are the true heroes. And of course, thank you to our anonymous Satoshi donor producer, and thank you, of course, also to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps and all of our artists for making this show possible. And remember, if financially supporting the show is not in the cards for you, we totally understand. You can support the show with your creative talent. You can create jingles, create show-related music. Again, if you're in a band that has copywritten music, we can't play that. We get copyright strikes. So, but if you want to write a song for the show, send it in to us. Or if you're a visual creative person, create some art show related, and you can send all that fun stuff to canarycryradio@gmail.com for ease, or canarycryradio@protonmail.com for privacy. Thank you very much. Now, there's other ways to support the show. If you haven't done it yet, you can share the show on your social media. That helps a lot. You never know when somebody will see it floating by, catch their eye, and be opened up to a world of possibilities that is presented here on Canary Cry News Talk. And even better, you got friends, you got family, they're all starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems, and you can play a vital role in their expansion into the world of truth by sending them an episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Maybe it's this episode, maybe it's an episode in the past. Turn them on to it. We thank you, and I guarantee you they will thank you as well. So make sure to do that. Let's see, what am I forgetting? Oh yeah, we call it rattling cages, in case you're wondering. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Okay, Gons, any last words before we take off here?
Hope everyone has a wonderful Monday evening.
Yes. All right, folks. Like I said, we'll be circling back on March 10th. That's this Wednesday, somewhere around 10 or 11 or 9:30 if we can get my act together. But keep an eye out for those notifications. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and do that in multiple outlets. I'm telling you, a lot of you are not taking me seriously on that. You need to follow us in multiple places, or else one day you will just not get your Canary Cry News Talk, and your life will be that much more sad. So make sure to do that. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, everybody. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
This guy comes to my house. He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies and melt babies into candles, their skin, and that's supposed to give them more demonic power. And these Satanists came to my house, 5 of them, and threatened my life.
Everybody loves waffles.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati. Do pot. That's where I started.
Light up a huge blunt.
A joint.
Give everybody
Magic mushrooms.
Smoke. The CIA, lots of intelligence agencies have tested secretly dosing communities. LSD.
Psychoactive pills should be covertly administered.
Just put me on some, I don't know.
You shot in the butt, fluoride,
oxytocin,
get a chemical hug.
I did dabble, some of that robot crack. I know what it's like.
It's a lethal recipe for disaster. You need help.
If you're a pharmacist, you need to repent.
All right, weird.
Polly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood.
Politic.
Many bloodsuckers.
Politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all away.
Polly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood.
Politic.
Many bloodsuckers.
Politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all the way.
Left wing, right wing, left wing, right wing, left wing. your blood. Politic. Politic. Politic.
Many blood cycles.
Politic, politician. Politic, politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all the way. 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 Don't let them drain you all the way.
Something I ain't got all day. Get on my YouTube, debates like the sun. See what's new, demonetization. Know what's this? To my surprise, I spot a big pair of googly eyes. Click on the video and turn up the sound. What is this gem that I have found? Couldn't it read? Cry radio, news talk, Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
Don't
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You and you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on in my people's zoo.
Look at
I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
They are scum.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.